peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. And the wicked in these streets will roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. And the wicked in these streets will roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is fuck the police, dog. I told them that already. Poverty's got the man, them out moving pretty. I know we scream unity, peace, 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 but I'm under no illusion about how sticky these streets are. AM to the AM, I was out there beating them. Now more time, I'm getting waved up with P and them. Me and certain pussy old youth can't friend, cause I'm looking for a type of real that I just don't see in them. Cause they claim they heavy, but they not. Yo, them boys Teddy, we ain't talking buckshot. The young boys, they chase re up. They don't wanna be no cleaner, but they'll run through your yard with a mop like animal. Can they fiend to have knots? Now they trying to have blocks. You won't get that time back if they put hands on your watch. Right here's been wild for a while. Young boy been wild from a while, screaming peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. And the wicked in these streets will roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. And the wicked in these streets will roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. Hella wicked in these streets, gotta roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is fuck the police. And where's the queens? Tell them free up little peace. Don't be fighting a peace while I'm in her trying to kill her with my peace. Rolling in a car full of G's with no keys in a section where they squeeze for the peas. We used to rob typhoons, NRGs. Now we gotta watch for negative NRGs. Poverty's trying to kill me. And that's the reason why we blow hella trees, but it's a gangster's party. Even when we chillin' running splits. So if you in the ride, know the risk car, we won't have to slide. From them pigs, don't get sticky in the bits and justice don't exist. We want peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. Hella wicked in these streets, gotta roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is fuck the police. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. Hella wicked in these streets, gotta roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is fuck the police. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. Hella wicked in these streets, gotta roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is fuck the police. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. We want freedom, we want peace. Hella wicked in these streets, gotta roll with your peace. The only thing we agree on is fuck the police. Yeah. Yo.
I just like the sound of it.
Dog, you be a man. Men are supposed to be providers. Shout my do or diers that gon' do the thing in silence. Survival's got my night living righteous, but survival's got my night linking Peter and the Piper. All these tenors, all these fivers, all these dressers, all these lighters. Certain man don't even smoke, but they'll smoke and they strikers. Them boy, they ain't living like us. Support them boy, phony, we ain't ever been no liar. Shout my rebel blazing fire, shout my brothers dropping science, shout my bros that dodge sirens, do road and clock mileage. We fit form an alliance. Like fuck the feds, I bet they try while I stay about peace. My bros stay about violence. Smoky settings burn the rubber off them tires. Still trapping, still keep something for them buyers. Around these ways, me the suppliers. Still breaking rules. Dog, I'm a rebel with a cause. Kitties ring the line cause I keep something for their cause. Dog, I fear no enemy, cause no opposition can withstand this energy. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Yo, fuck the police. We said fuck the police. Fuck the police. Hey yo, fuck the police. We in the belly of the beast. Deep in the streets. And we are scream, fuck the police, yo, fuck the police. Fuck the police.
That's right.
Hey yo, fuck the police.
See, I've always been on a mission. It was a flower I was whipping in the kitchen. I'm on my way to the knees and they were itching. I had to hit and missing cells was forbidden. I couldn't count on no one else, I made a living. I know it's pretty, but listen, it's my decision. I lost count of the number of all the nakeds. I also lost count of the money from all these tickets. And I said, fuck the police. They tried to lock me away from my little niece. I hit the church and made prayers with the priest, even though the case that I was on was really me. Yeah, I scream not guilty, even though my hands then were filthy. Washing up this white in the pot is looking milky. Yeah, from a youngin' I was a rebel. Fuck the pot, I microwave it after I use the kettle light.
Yo, fuck the police. Fuck the police. Yo, fuck the police. We said fuck the police. Fuck the police. Hey yo, fuck the police. We in the belly of the beast. Deep in the streets. And we are scream, fuck the police. Yo, fuck the police. Fuck the police. Hey yo, fuck the police.
We say gang unite, cops are the ops. Touch one, touch all, we shut down the block. Tell every car to stop, the road we lock it up. Like fire fun, Babylon, you couldn't call the cops. From that generation, they was warned up. See, I roll with some brothers that don't talk locks. If they make us want to fire, then it's all hot. See, a pig get fried, turned torture. I know they love it when my people grieve. We fight, but like we're working for the bloody beast. God bless me with some brothers that would ride with me. Like gang, 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 let's unite the G's. North, south, west, east. We all hate pigs when coming for the streets. No matter who made peace and who's got beef, I think we all agree on this. Fuck the police.
Yo, fuck the police. Fuck the police. Yo, fuck the police. We said fuck the police. Fuck the police. Hey yo, fuck the police. We in the belly of the beast. Deep in the streets. And we are scream, fuck the police. Yo, fuck the police. Fuck the police. Hey yo, fuck the police.
Microphone check 1, 2. Yeah. I mean.
What are you saying? Ryan, what?
The wrong tune this thing, the wrong tune this.
Hold on.
You know, like that. Right, I want to make sure everyone can hear, man. Can everyone hear, man? Click the 9 if you can hear, man. Ain't said that for a hot minute still. But I want to see some 9s or red, black, green in the chat if I can be heard right about now. You get me? Just let me know that I can be heard out here. You know, like that. Nines. Yeah, we got Scattered in the House. We got Kissed by the Sun. I mean, we got Abba Sun. We got Kojo. And all the rest of the 9 people then watching right about now. Yeah. Get me? We got Raheem. Yes, family. I have not done this live thing for a hot minute still. And I was just jamming here, doing some Got Kush TV work. By the way, if you haven't, subscribed to Got Kush TV, go do that right about now. Just search Got Kush TV in your thing, and you get me. Come true in it. Yes, press that subscribe button. If you're here and you ain't subscribed to my thing, subscribe in it. But man ain't done the live thing for a hot minute. So yeah, the link is in the live chat here. So anybody that wants to join us, come and join. This is completely random minute. Like I ain't got nothing to talk about really. Although there's nothing that man could talk about because nothing's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? But I was just here doing some work. Decided to take a break and thought, let me do a random YouTube live in it just for the sake of it. So we're there, you get me? So anyone that wants to jump on and chat about anything, yeah, we can do that, innit? It's nothing, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing. No holds bar, it's just whatever, innit? So we can do that. But yeah, enough things are going, innit? You know what I'm saying? It's hot, finally, we get little sun out here. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, man, you get me. Enough things are going on the continent, Sudan. You know what I mean? I go on with things. You get me? This thing about the AU trying to unify the, you know, the economies and them kind of thing. They are going. You know what I mean? You know, enough things are going in it. Stormzy mash up Glastonbury. You know what I'm saying? You know, the internet's popping off because what's it? One little sister got the part of Ariel and the Little Mermaid, and black people are happy and white people are not happy, and all kind of different things. So enough things are going in it. You get me? It's just a very random thing. I've been involved in a couple of lives myself. Well, not a couple actually, only one recently, and that was on the subject of ADOS. Had a bit of a debate with a brother from the States on the ADOS front. You know what I'm saying? You know, this ADOS reparations thing is a serious thing. But there was a actual, the House of Representatives had a hearing the other day as well on reparations, which is the first time that's happened in the United States of America. Enough things are going on in the world, family. You know what I'm saying? West Indies have done particularly crap in the cricket. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm probably the only one out here who follows the cricket. Give me a 9 in the chat right about now if you follow cricket. Yeah, I just want to know if I'm the only one out here that follows the cricket. You know what I'm saying? You get me? I was chatting to my brother the other day, and he asked me straight, "Does your dad follow cricket?" I said, "Yeah." He goes to me like, "It's like that's the only reason why I've been following cricket, because one of the elders in the family follows cricket." And I ain't got no 9s yet, so I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming that I'm the only one in it. But yeah, it's been terrible. Yeah, it's been terrible. You get me? Scatter says he's going out. What? Not out, yeah? Going for the Ravens, Scatter. Remember, you're engaging us, so no why not the girls them still. Get me? You know what I'm saying? No why. I'm seeing 10-0 on that. Yeah, that's funny still. Yeah, I'm the only one in it. I'm the only one. It's cool. I don't follow football. All my brothers do. But yeah, you know, cricket was a thing in it for I and I, because the older generation, them, like it was national pride and anti-colonialism. You get me? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like cricket for people that were like adults in the 80s and everything, there it was a mad thing. And even when the West Indies team used to go to South Africa, the Africans in South Africa used to support the West Indies cricket team. You know what I'm saying? The West Indies cricket team of that era is still the greatest cricket team ever. You know what I'm saying? In the history of the game. So yeah, you know, I just said, but the point is that it's currently the Cricket World Cup, innit? You know what I'm saying? African Nations Cup is on as well, and I've missed every game because for the last week or so, like I've been tied down with bare Gotkush TV work. You know what I'm saying? I've missed that. I've missed everything after the group stages of the Women's World Cup as well. So I don't know what's been going on. I saw something happen with the Cameroon team. I don't even know what exactly went down because I ain't jumped into it yet. But there was some fracas with the Cameroon women's team. You know what I'm saying? So all kind of madness has gone on in the world. You know what I'm saying? And I've been off. I ain't been on none of your lives. I apologize. Yeah, I've been absent from all of your lives, innit? You know what I'm saying? And these things, but yeah, you know, it's not for the want of like, I'm not ducking everyone in it. I'm just like busy, you know, the way there, you know. And you'll start to see the fruits of the labor. I will announce that we have Gotkush TV has a new season on one of our flagship shows, which used to be called UK Fire. It's the freestyle show. And yeah, but it used to be called UK Fire. We have now renamed it Wordsmith, and so we have a new season 3 of Wordsmith is going to be dropping within the next couple weeks here. And so, you know, marketing campaigns been like had to be written up and going on and them kind of things. This just about started. And yeah, so I've been very busy with that, you know what I'm saying? Them kind of things. They're just building up the platform, you know what I'm saying? You know, creating the new shows, them kind of things there. And so I haven't been able to be, you know, live as I want to be on either of my channels, to be honest. I've got another channel what's it, in terms of African-centered education. I've got videos that I haven't been able to finish editing, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of stuff right now. You know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff, but it's good. It's beautiful work. It's beautiful, yeah, when you're self-employed, and you know you're on your own purpose. But yeah, it's also, you know, challenging. You know what I'm saying, in the sense of there's no such thing as a 9 to 5 when you're self-employed, innit? You know what I mean? You know, like Capleton has a lyric where he say, self-employed cannot get layoff. Amount of work me have, can't even take a day off. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's my thing. Yes, Cat, don't worry about it, man. Everything blessed. I ain't trying to come to you, the queen. Ain't at the queen still. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to meet her one day and these things. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, Sudan to the world. Raheem, no, I've missed all the games, fam. Maybe you can give me an update as to what I've gone. You know what I mean? I've missed the whole of AFCON so far, innit? And that's sacrilege. Cause man, I don't follow football yet, but when it comes to the World Cup and the African Nations Cup, I'm about that life. And the difference is, when it comes to the World Cup, it's Team Africa all the way. Yeah, Pan-Africanism straight, Pan-Africanism straight, Pan-Africanism when it comes to the World Cup. When it comes to the African Nation Cup, I support Ghana. You get me? No unity. You know what I'm saying? Like, no solidarity, nothing. Straight Ghana. You get me? So straight tribalism. Nationality business. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, yeah, so it going. But yeah, somebody give me but what I have caught though is the tennis. I caught Big up Kushti. I caught Coco Goff, my lord. Yeah, but I've missed the last 2 games. I caught a piece of it earlier today, but she's doing well. I can't believe, like, yo. And I'm happy, yeah, because I'm a Venus Williams fan, innit? Like, obviously we love Serena Williams, innit? But I think people forget how bad, yeah, Venus Williams was on the court. And obviously she's got an ongoing illness, which means that she hasn't been on top form of late. So because of that, I feel like people forget, yeah, what Venus Williams is and was on the court. And so, like, when I heard about this little girl, yeah, and the fact that she plays like Venus Williams, yeah, like it's like Venus Williams' younger self. I thought, let me check this thing out. And when I watched it, I realized how much she actually plays like Venus Williams, like younger self. She's only 15 years old. I am very impressed. And if anyone's going to beat Venus Williams apart from Serena, I'd love it to be her. You know what I'm saying? 15 years old. And I'm not only impressed by her tennis playing, but she's just a very just like together young woman, accomplished, like together, focused, you know what I'm saying, young woman, you know what I mean? Yeah, and that's a mad thing. So it's beautiful to be able to live out your dreams and your mission so young, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So shout out to that little princess there, 15 years old, you know what I'm saying, living her best life. And you know, you just have to give thanks for that. Shout out to her parents, fam, you get me, for raising and homeschooling, yeah, homeschooling to the point that where she is at the moment. You know what I mean? It's black excellence all the way. We love to see that. You get me? Big up to the 12 people watching. Yeah, do hit the like button. You get me? I don't know how long I'm gonna be on there for. It's very random, innit? So I don't even know if I've got much to say. It's just, and then as well, there was a brother called Atticus. Anybody knows Atticus now? He wanted to join me live this evening. I've sent him the invite still, but if anybody knows him on a personal one, shot him a message in it, let him know that man's there. So he can join my car. He has some things that he wanted to, you know, to chat about with man still, you know what I'm saying? But I know it's live, you get me? And Scatter's gone raving, so I know he's not gonna join. Where you say, Raheem, Morocco went out of AFCON today, losing to Benin. Voodoo we say, yeah, you get me? Because you know, Benin is where all the voodoo takes place, isn't it? You get me? So that's that. You know what I mean? That is that. So yeah. But I didn't even know Benin were in it still. You know what I mean? Big up Kushti though. Nice live the other day. I didn't get to finish listening to it still. Your show on business, but it sounded very interesting. Yeah, I had some family situations and business and that, so I never got to watch the whole thing. I was kind of in and out of it still. But I love what you're doing, sis. You know what I mean? Them kind of conversations that we need to be having a little piece more. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, we need to make them conversations more popular. Wow, 16 people I watch. Big up the 16 people that's watching still. Hit the like button and them thing there. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how long I'm gonna be on, but if you feel like joining, man, the link is in the chat. I'll leave it one more time. You know what I'm saying? Just in case anybody is feeling the vibe. Feeling the vibe is my answer. You know what I mean? Shout out to anyone that knows about that tune. Feel the vibe is my answer. I want to know anyone that can name me that tune right there. Give me the name of that tune right there. Feel the vibe is my answer. Who's the artist on that tune? Get me? Who's the artist on? I know, Scatter. Sorry, I don't want to mess up your dean. You get me? Your devout Muslim credentials still. Yeah. Oh, Ziria, why are you trying to get me into it? Why is it every time I come on the live here, somebody asks me about ADOS? It's a joke. It's a full joke. Like, it's a full joke. Like, I can't talk about nothing else, innit? Other than ADOS. And I'm sure there are people that think that I've got a thing here, like, well, I'm obsessed with going at ADOS. Somebody's always got it's a regular thing. I ain't been on a live in a good couple months. Yeah, and when the last time I was alive, that was the trend. ShakaRa, what do you think about ADOS? ShakaRa, what do you think about ADOS? And now this is I've been on for all of what, 20 minutes, and already man's trying to start trouble in the chat. Big up Ziriab still. Yeah, if you don't know about Ziriab, yeah, he's got a very interesting channel that deals with all kind of world politics, some interesting perspectives. I ain't listened for a while still, because I've been kind of off the radars of the lives. The one I keep missing that I keep meaning to catch is Scattered Minds though, man. Like Scatter's got a live every day now, it seems, and I keep missing them. So apologies, bro. But yeah, keep doing your thing still. I like some of the conversations that you're having. Every now and then I check back the replay and that. You know what I'm saying? So that's good stuff. You get me? What do I think of ADOS? Kushti says, thank you, bro. Thanks for the support. Rolling with the Master Blaster. Yes, all right. But who's the artist though, Kushti? Feel the vibe is my answer. I want to know who can remember who the artist is. I want to know who the artist is. Yeah, all my 80s babies, 90s picnics should remember this tune and who the artist is. I just saw a video on the suggested ones. I'll check that if you're already talked about. I've talked about it. I've done one video, yeah, on like where I'm speaking about ADOS. Look back in my videos, innit? I had a panel including Scattered Minds, including Amwale Africa from the States, including Sister African Esquire from the States, including brother Abiola Soul from France. Yeah, and we were looking at it from a Pan-African perspective, mostly because ADOS leaders have attacked Pan-Africanism quite profusely. Yeah, so I saw it go. Yeah, Scattered, I had a class earlier, so I couldn't get on it earlier. I just got back in and I got some work to do, and I thought, let me you know. Yeah, we fully do. Like, I ain't been Speaker's Corner for a minute. And every time I've been meaning to go, and I've been seeing the passer. My gosh, passer to the world. Jeez, that's another thing that's been going on. I've been going over all the things that's been going on. The passer that's been going on down at the park. There's a lot of dishonesty in the world, you know, family. I gotta say that. There's a lot of dishonesty in the world, yeah. Because I'm hearing that a man got thump up, like one guy held him and a man got thump up and them thing there. And when I watched the video, that's not what I saw, fam. I'm sorry, like it's not like completely what I saw, innit? Not to say that everything that went on in the video needs to go on still. Yes, Mr. Boogs got it still. I swear there's a massive delay on this thing, or some of you that are listening like a few minutes behind. Yeah, but yeah. Cool. DJ like an MC neat. Blessings Queen. I don't know your name, you know. Scattered Minds Queen. Yeah, Queen Scattered. I don't know your name. But shout out to all my Sudanese brothers and sisters. I love Sudan, you know. You get me? I love Sudan. You know the reason why I love Sudan is because when I was a child, yeah, the most melanated people that I ever met, yeah, came from Sudan, innit? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know. Yeah, I had a bit of a thing for the Sudan sisters when I was young still. Not that I knew bare of them, but, you know, the complexions were deep. Like, they used to mesmerize man and hypnotize man. You get me? But as well, we had a brother in the Pan-African community over here called Brother Deng Ajak. He was a member of the Sudanese People's Liberation Movement. And he taught us a lot a lot about the, you know what I'm saying, Sudan and the politics and the liberation movements in Sudan and these things, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so I've always had a bit of and I've always wanted to know more about Sudan. There's not a massive Sudanese community over here, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I know that y'all do exist. But and I found that enough of y'all like in Manchester. That's the maddest thing, you know. The maddest thing, there's bare Sudan people in Manchester, you know what I mean. I found that when I was a bit older, but it's a beautiful thing still. And we need to link up more in it. Like there's so many communities of Africans over here. There's quite a substantial Congolese community as well that we don't know about that. Yes, Boogs, you got there first. DJ Luck and MC Nee, I mean, you get me. Christy got there after still, you know what I'm saying. So now I know who all the 80s babies are in it. That was raving at Sidewinder back in the day. I went wide them, you get me. Sidewinder, Stampede and Rampage, and them parties there. That weren't me. You know what I'm saying? I used to rave in the ends. You get me? And I was a bashment raver more than I was a garage raver still. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bashment. So if it was bashment versus garage, man was on the bashment side still. You get me? Bounty Killer and Beanie Man and Lady Saw and Sizzla Kalanji. Yeah, and them things there, you get me? That's what we are dealing with. Oh yeah, I forgot, Bugs. You're a bit of an elder still. You know what I mean? You're a bit of an elder out here. You get me? But yeah, we got all the people there from Sudan. We got my Somali people. You don't know. Love my Somali brothers and sisters. Always. But yeah, man, the pass at the park, innit? We got to protect each other, brothers and sisters, man. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of shaggy went on. I don't know the full whack of what's been going on. But, you know, what I saw in the video and then what I saw following, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of what went on last week with the Holy Command them coming down for man and them thing there, it was a lot of stuff, bruv. You get me? It was a lot of stuff. You know, so I hope all that's died down right about now. But it's obvious that certain men are looking for problems in it and the reason to wild out on man in it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't seem necessary. But I hope all the man them are safe in it. Like, and I hope all the man them are good. I ain't heard nothing more from that. Big up Khalid's Revenge. When will our brothers and sisters on the continent start thinking race first? Lord of mercy. Man them are bringing all these topics. All right, let me deal with the was loving the garage and bashment. Are you an 80s baby, Christy? I swear you're are you an 80s baby? I want to know that still. Man ain't raved in a long time still, you know. I was an original raver back in the day, you know. I stayed there. I think the next time I'm gonna party is probably Carnival. I'm a daddy now, you know, so these things you take it, you know. You know what I mean? Once in a while, get me. But yeah. Let me deal with Ziriab's question. Ziriab, if you're still there, let me know. I'm a deal with your question right about now. And then I come to Dr. Khalid Revenge question. Yes, Kushti, you're 80s baby. Good. Nice. I'll catch you in a rave one day, innit? You know what I'm saying? I'll catch you in a rave one day. And you know something though? Do they still play slow jams in the rave? Cause I ain't been to a rave where they play slow jams like for a long time. You get me? Like the slow jam section of the dance is not a thing anymore, is it? Like let me know, innit? People that rave regular. Like what happened to the slow jam section, innit? You get me? Well, go on. Like Kushti, like let me know, innit? If you're still raving, yeah? Like if they're still playing the slow jam section of the dance, innit? Are there slow jams to play? You get me? Like the youth, they don't know about slow jams now. I teach young people, they don't really know about slow jams. Poor things. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is gonna be random, very, very random, in fact. So we're gonna go back and forth. I'm talking about raving right about now. And then we're gonna go to some serious topics, yeah, back and forth between raving and serious topics like what do I think about ADOS and when are Africans on the continent gonna start thinking race first? And what I will say right now though, Dr. Khalid's Revenge, yeah, like I don't know if black people anywhere in the world on any significant level are thinking race first. I think the question is a bit unfair if we're going to target Africans on the continent specifically. You know what I'm saying, with the lack of thinking race first. I think that's an issue everywhere. I don't think any black people on the planet Earth in any specific location in any significant numbers, I think, in Race First. We got Everything is Everything, 70s baby, all right. My queen's a 70s baby still. Yes, I'm an 80s baby, that, you know. They were a 70s baby, oh man, you know what I mean? I'm fast like that. But yeah, you don't know. All right, ADOS Ziriab, if you're still there, let me know. Click the 9 if you're still there, Ziriab. I am not a fan of the ADOS movement, and I want to make it clear that my not being a fan of the ADOS movement has nothing to do with whether I am in favor of reparations or not. I have been involved with the reparations movement in the UK practically all my life in one way, shape or form, but definitely since the late 90s, yeah, and I was still a child in the late 90s, but my organization, the Archaean Revivalist Movement, has been involved with various reparations activities over here, and so I have a relatively good grasp, yeah, of the issues concerning reparations, the progression of the movement internationally. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on all areas of it, but I have a relatively good grasp of it, and the issues pertaining to reparations. Yeah, you 90s babies are late though, my G. You're late to the game, innit? My youngest brother's a 90s baby still, so you're all right. You know what I'm saying? But you're late to the game, innit? You know what I mean? Like you're late to the DJ Luck and MC Neat type vibration. You know what I mean? Feel the vibe. Yeah. So as far as reparations goes, I've seen how the movement has progressed. Like for example, I wasn't there. My father was there, and other members of my family were there in 2002. There was a conference in Barbados called the Descendants, the Africans and African Descendants Conference against racism and other injustices or something like that. And you know, one of the major issues on the table for that conference was the issue of reparations, yeah? And Africans from around the world attended. Tupac, you know, Tupac around was here. 90s baby. Yeah, but you really gotta be an 80s baby to know Tupac really. Like even me, yeah? Like Tupac, you know, was killed in 96, yeah? And I was 11. So if you're a 90s baby, like, you know, you have to go back and do some research on Tupac, innit? You get me? It's like me, like with Rakim and Big Daddy K. I had to go back and research them thing there. Mr. Lee, big up Mr. Lee. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, what am I saying? So ADOS. So yeah, 2002 Barbados conference. That was a very big conference. Africans from around the world attended that conference, and so like this was one of the this was a time where, because of the international nature of that conference, yeah, there was it signaled the fact that there was going to be more international coordination on reparations activity. So people knew that people were working on reparations in London, so in the UK, in America, and in the Caribbean. Reese G. Oh wait, is that my sister-in-law? Raw. How you mean? Big up sister-in-law. What you say? See, I say I've never seen that face before on my thing. Hey sis, yeah. What's it called? So what am I saying? Yeah, so there was a big conference out there, and yeah, coming out of that, what's it called? There was a big you know, push to internationalize the reparations issue and coordinate. Hey Risha, thanks for joining. Yeah, coordinate reparations activity from across the world, innit? You know what I'm saying? And so I've seen a lot of that progression. It hasn't always gone as similarly as it should have. You know what I'm saying? It's not as cohesive as it was for a few. You know what I mean? Kushti, you're about 5 minutes behind. You know, like refresh your thing, innit? You get me? Hit that little circle button if you're on Google Chrome. You know what I mean? But Kushti, I don't rave like I used to, but you might catch me in an old school thing once in a while. Pan the river, I mean, yeah. But I'm sure they don't do slow jams at the end anymore. I mean, yeah, it's a real thing. If you missed the slow jam section at the end of the party, you've missed out on life, innit? Like a very essential aspect of life. Because the slow jam section was a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You get me? Yeah, I'll leave it there, innit? You know like that, Kushti. But yeah, so reparations. This is very random. I'm going between Raven and reparations, but it's all good. All sides of ShakaRa on display. What's it? Yeah, so I've seen the progression. So I've known that the move, the general trend in reparations activity has been worldwide, to kind of form more cohesion as brothers and sisters move their specific agendas from wherever they are in it. You see what I'm saying? So like there is no problem, with people having specific agendas pertaining to a specific location and kind of things there. The problem with ADOS is that they've come out the gate attacking a lot of other movements. You know what I'm saying? And unnecessarily so. So they've attacked black immigrants, and they've made a lot of what I consider to be unfounded accusations against black immigrants. For example, the leaders of ADOS accused black immigrants of coming to America specifically for the purpose of trafficking off of the black identity in America, which is African American. And in so doing, deliberately negatively affecting ADOS in that they're stealing jobs that could go to black Americans, but they're going to black immigrants. University placements that could be going to black Americans are going to black immigrants. And as far as they suggest, this is a significant enough issue that this is having a significant impact upon the prospects and the opportunities available to black Americans in the United States of America. I have asked, in various different forums for people to substantiate this claim, to really substantiate this claim. And I've never gotten any substantive answers to it that prove it. There are about 40-something million, black people, like all black people in the United States of America. Of that 40-something million, the lowest estimate I've heard is about 3 million. The highest estimate I've heard is about 5 million are black immigrants. So which leaves, in the late 30s, so some say there's 45 million, some say there's 42 million black people altogether. So we're talking about 38 to 40 million, of the black immigrants, the black people in the USA are what are referred to as ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, or slaves. And so the idea that 3 to 5 million black immigrants can be having that much of a detrimental impact on black Americans doesn't seem to add up to me. Plus the idea that they seem to target Nigerians with a particular kind of vitriol, which I think is very destructive. And the fact that they are intolerant and rejecting of African identity as it applies to Africans in America. They consider Africa to be the land that sold us as those of the children of the enslaved into slavery. They consider African nations to be essentially slave economies that sold their own people into slavery. And these are ahistorical narratives that the reparations movement that I was talking about earlier had done a lot of work in terms of combating that narrative, because that was the key narrative that was pushed by the former colonial masters and enslavers for not securing and pushing the reparations agenda. Well, it wouldn't have happened if you Africans didn't sell yourself into slavery. The reparations movement has historically challenged that particular viewpoint as far as it relates to the colonizer, but tried to work out whatever issues there were internally among us. So for example, there have been ceremonies of reconciliation done in Ghana, for example, in respect of the fact that, whoever collaborated on the continent, as far as, the Ashanti people are concerned, ceremonies of reconciliation were done. At the same time, There are others who say that even that didn't need to get done, because the reality is the situation that brought slavery into being in the first place was not just a simple matter of trade, collaboration. You know what I'm saying? You don't go to a people's land with all kind of guns and cannons you know, and say that you've come to trade. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of shippiness is that? We got Chief Drano. You get me? Yeah, blessings, family, blessings. I think have I caught you in the Dagger squad, Chief Drano? Let me know if it's Dagger squad that I've seen your name in before. So yeah, that's my long and short on the ADOS movement, innit? I'm sure that, you know, other discussions will happen. I had a conversation with the Dagger squad on the Dagger squad channel recently as well, with some brothers and sisters, you know, out there. And yeah, man, it's a lot of stuff in it. I find a lot of what these people, like today, yeah, even today, yeah, I was watching a video, and one of the leaders of the ADOS movement, Antonio Moore, categorically said that the Caribbean had slavery, but it didn't have chattel slavery, yeah, like where there's a white majority putting its foot on your neck, yeah, like the man actually said that the Caribbean did not have chattel slavery. This is ahistorical, yeah, and I find that a lot of people in the ADOS movement do this. They like to deny and minimize for what happened, the experience of Africans, African enslavement in the Caribbean, for the sake of characterizing the Black American experience as the worst of the enslavement experience. And I think it's disrespectful. It's fundamentally disrespectful. It's ahistorical, and this narrative of Africans sold Africans into slavery has political implications, because some of them have even suggested that that the Africans on the continent should be pursued for reparations by those of us who are the descendants of the enslaved in the West. And I think that's an abhorrent idea. And if that idea catches any traction, it's going to be hell, hot water, fire, and brimstone. Yeah, because I personally, I'm not going to have that. And I know that there are many activists who won't. Yeah, Africa is just as much a victim of enslavement as any of the rest of us. And I challenge anyone, yeah, I challenge anyone to prove differently. Yeah, if you say Africans sold Africans into slavery, where is the wealth? Yeah, this was just a mutual, you know what I'm saying, contractual agreement. Where is the wealth comparable, yeah, to what France received and is still living off, what Britain received and is still living off, what Spain, Portugal received and is still living off, what the United States of America received and is still living off today in Africa? Which African nation has accumulated that kind of wealth? Yeah, which African people? Let's not talk about, because all these countries that we see at the moment never existed during slavery. So where is the African so-called tribes? Yeah, that we will more properly call nations. Where is the accumulated wealth that they got from slavery now? Yeah, that is benefiting, that they're still living off today, in the same way that America, Britain, France, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, yeah, is still living off, you know, the benefits, the unearned benefits of the enslavement of African people. And that something came out the other day, and I haven't fully read the report, so I'm not going to go fully into it. But it deals with the nations that we don't often look at, yeah, that were also involved in the enslavement process, but they were just less prolific, like Switzerland, yeah. You know, a lot of the money and a lot of the, so Switzerland has some role in the thing. Russia apparently made a couple journeys to the continent with interest in getting involved in the thing. You know, the Dutch, who we do talk about sometimes because of their role in Southern Africa, but few people know that the Dutch actually traveled to West Africa as well. And they had a bit of a war with the Ewe people in West Africa, and they had a bit of a war with the English as well, because oftentimes these colonizers would war each other for territory, yeah, to kidnap our ancestors. So yeah, long and short of it, I can't back the ADOS movement. I think they've commandeered the reparations agenda. They've taken it out of a global context, which I think is dangerous. But I understand why, because essentially, when you listen to them, their primary aim is to become completely absorbed in America. Yeah, there's a tweet from Yvette Carnell, who's one of the ADOS leaders, and she says that reparations will make Black Americans full American citizens. She says that the ADOS is America first. Yeah, and these kinds of things. So yeah, I don't deal with that, innit? So they're militant integrationists that are trying to get into the American establishment, and that's not me. Where I come from, reparations is about nation building. Reparations is about repairing damage and restoring African nationhood, because it was African nationhood that was destroyed as a result of the enslavement process, the colonization process, and the state of neocolonialism that we're currently in. Where you say Ziriab, Antonio Moore was right on his Tiffany Haddish analysis. Yeah, I don't recall. I think I did watch a video on that. I can't say I recall his argument fully. That said, a lot of their arguments, Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, regarding how we cannot use Black celebrity as a barometer for Black success, I agree with. Yeah, I agree with. A lot of their stuff in terms of the racial wealth gap, even though I differ in some of the perspective, because Yvette Carnell doesn't believe in cooperative economics, for example. She deals with just basically government. Yeah, the government has to restore the wealth of Black America. So she doesn't believe in the idea that African people need to organize our own economy. She's not about that life, innit? So, but a lot of the information that they put out with regards to that issue is sound, and needs to be acknowledged, even if I disagree with their whole reparations push and some of their lack of an international perspective. ADOS had an emotional beginning, and it's too far along to change it now. It will fail. I don't know, I think that there are the powers that be in America would much rather the ADOS movement lead the reparations push than they would some of the other more radical elements who are less inclined to Americanness, so to speak. What if ADOS is on the thing, and the ADOS people, them leaders, are quite well acquainted, you know what I'm saying, with certain political, organizations in America. So I don't know if it will fail, so to speak. And to be honest, I have no real interest in seeing it fail. I believe that reparations is a just demand. And all African people have the right to push for reparations. I just don't believe that African people should push reparations whilst slandering other Africans. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know what I mean? But I agree. There are many Democrats that are using the reparations issue as a con for the Black vote. I totally agree with that. At the same time, I think that if we're organized enough, there are things that we can do to leverage that. You know what I'm saying? In America. Now, yeah, I'm saying we, because I believe that my brothers and sisters in the States are my brothers and sisters. So I'm saying we. Yo, you know what? Man even forgot that man had a live chat, I mean, sorry, a super chat. Man forgot about the super chat feature. I mean, big up to Drano, Chief Drano, give thanks. I said it in the debate with O'Shea. Is that, what's that brother's, what's his channel called again, or his show called again? The slave trade was only between the Europeans and the Arabs, and the commodity was Africans. Europeans had all the wealth. Africans had the relics and the dungeons. ADOS are just anti-African. I agree totally with that. Big up for that, Chief Drano. Much appreciated. Yeah, much appreciated for that, bro. So yeah, and as well as a Pan-Africanist and a lifelong Pan-Africanist, before the hashtag ADOS was a major thing, the leaders had made quite a significant attack against Pan-Africanism, and so obviously we're just not on the same ideological, coming from the same ideological perspective. Do you know what I'm saying? And a lot of their attack against Pan-Africanism was ahistorical and just completely nonsensical. And it wouldn't be so bad, but I found that there are a lot of African brothers and sisters who are operate within the conscious community in America who have directly just denied that ADOS is anti-African and anti-Pan-African. They don't want to deal with that issue. They run from it hard. And they run from this issue. And they will tell you that ADOS is not anti-African. And when you quote from them directly, they just won't deal with what the quote and act like you're taking them out of context. Yeah, and it's a very weird situation that goes on with them people there. So yeah, so I hope that satisfies you know what I'm saying, the ADOS conversation right about now. Like I said, it's like I can't do a live without somebody asking me about ADOS. There was another question from William. College Revenge. By the way, I'm gonna share the link here. So anyone who wants to join the chat can come join the chat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, anyone that's moved to come join, man, and have a bit of a conversation. Come true, innit? Come true. You get me? Yeah. So we were talking about raving earlier, you know what I'm saying, and whether there's a slow jam section left in the dance. And Kushli was saying that they don't do the slow jam section no more. You know what I mean? Do man them ask for dances nowadays, like in the dance, like in the party, in the shubs, in the rave? You get me? Back in the day, like we never used to ask for dances. It got to the point like I've asked for dances in the dance before still. But like when you're in a bashment dance, yeah, like asking is not verbal necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to, you know, you kind of like Shane Peters, you don't know. Yeah, you kind of, it's body language, you know what I mean? I'd love to come on, Russ. I'm from Chief Drama, you're in Australia. Seeing. Well, the link is in the chat still, so anybody wants to come on can come on still. Black people from Australia. Oh, I think I saw one of your videos, Chief Drano, you know. The brother from Australia. I think I saw one of your videos still. I believe I did see one of your videos, you know, Chief Drano. Yeah. Blessings, family. Yeah, I did see one of your videos. Yo, has anybody been watching the African Cup of Nations? I've missed all the games, yeah? So I'd love to chat about that if anyone's watching it. Wine language. See it there? Yeah. Right, Kushni, you're gonna get me in trouble, you know. Wine language. Yeah. That's what we was. Yeah, so you know, you never used to ask, innit? You kind of did a thing, and you know, the woman will kind of let you know, say the dance can go on or not, as the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But me personally, I never like used to have to beg dance certain time, because you know certain man, yeah, only used to dance when they were dancing with women. Like when they were whining with a woman in it, like that's when they used to dance. I weren't whining people. Me, my brother, my cousins, like we used to dance whole night in it by ourselves in it. And so because of that, you know, you get certain privileges in it, because the woman have been watching you dance whole night in it. And so, you know, they're more inclined to dance with you in it, because you ain't been holding up the wall watching them whine. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So you know they way there. You know they way there. Yeah, we know. You know they way there. But yeah. A dance is a dance, not a marriage. Yes, to Chief Drano, give thanks. You know what I mean? African Cup is dope. Ghana is good, but Egypt might take it. Where is it? Where is it at right now? It ain't gone through the group stages yet, though. I love Ghana to win, you know. Like I said, when it comes to African Cup of Nations, you know, it's straight tribalism, you know. Man's about this Ghana life. You get me? Man's about this Ghana life. Right. Khalid's Revenge was asking about Africans in Africa and why they're not race first. Like I was saying, I think that's an unfair question. I don't think Africans anywhere to any significant measure are race first. At the same time, we have to take into consideration the unique dynamics of the continent. Oh, Shane says, I find youths are scared to ask for a dance or even jump in when necessary. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. I think our generation has done the youth them bad, innit? Like, and why I say that is because I don't think it's that these youths are not dancing, yeah. With like, cause you know, like when you see them, like the youth them are wine the youth them, innit? Like it's happening, but there's a certain level of like decorum that went out with daggering. Like when daggering came in, like I don't actually consider daggering dancing. Yeah, and so like I don't know if a lot of the youth them know how to whine, except for the soca youth them. If you're a soca raver, you know how to whine. Yeah, actually that's not even a given. Yeah, but more of the soca youth they will know how to whine. But I think our generation messed up the thing, fam, because yeah, it went dirty wine, hot walk, and then daggering. And daggering mash up the whole situation. You know what I mean? Like we need some classes from our grandparents, and the grandparents are passing away now, innit? So I don't know how it's gonna happen, but like like you ever seen your grandparents dance? Give me a 9, yeah, in the chat, yeah. If you ever seen your grandparents dance, innit? You know what I mean? Like me I talk, that's real dancing, yeah. Like your grandparents out here. You get me? When you know what I'm saying, like my family's from the Caribbean, so Jamaica and Antigua. So when we talk about my grandparents dancing, we're talking about ska, yeah, and then old time, you know what I'm saying, reggae music there, yeah. If you're from the continent like West Africa, it might be high life in it. But I want to see a 9 in it. If you've seen your grandparents, that is dancing, and the grandparents, yeah, the grandparents they had different kinds of dancing in it. So it weren't like our parents' generation had one kind of dancing, and it was rubber dub. Yeah, it was rubber dub. You know what I'm saying? Like rubber dub. You know what I mean? Whereas the grandparents they had rubber dub. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But they also had other dances in it that would lead up to the rubber dub. You know what I'm saying? So every dance is not a rubber dub in it. So that's why, like in your grandparent generation, like you know. A man could dance with his brethren's wife, innit? Because it's a dance, innit? Like, it's not a rubber dub, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you get me? I'm going in and out of this African politics thing and raving thing, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so yeah, I'm saying that we got to take into consideration the unique, you know, situation as far as the continent is concerned, and any majority black nation actually, because the reality is that the governments of said nations, of our nations, have done the people a great disservice because we are reliant upon Western aid, so to speak, yeah. You know, for basic things, you know what I'm saying? Oftentimes, education is not free, you know, and the opportunities that are available, yeah, the economic realities are very, very precarious, yeah. And so oftentimes, whereas, you know, we're in these first world nations studying, you know, history, political theory, so on and so forth, whereas the fight in many of our back home nations is bread and butter, absolute bread and butter, yeah. And so it's difficult sometimes to raise consciousness around politics, political theory, and economic realities and them kind of things there, because of you're dealing with just the everyday bread and butter issues, and we have to find creative ways of building political movements in those realities. And if we're not living in those circumstances, sometimes we're not always attuned, yeah, to the unique challenges of organizing in those environments. You know what I'm saying? Which is another issue that I have with the ADS movement, because they speak on so-called third world nations and clearly know nothing about them. Like this idea that being an immigrant and having you know, a back home to go home to somehow makes you more affluent, automatically makes you more affluent, yeah, and privileged than the ADOS. And I'm not saying that there are not unique are challenges that are associated with brothers and sisters in America. There are fully, yeah, and we have to acknowledge that, yeah. I can't remember the percentage, yeah, but it's a very low percentage of Africans in America that actually have a passport, and they probably don't know this, but that reality would probably apply to many Africans in majority black nations. I'd be surprised if most Africans in the Caribbean nations, in African nations, actually had a passport. I don't think that can be said to be the case. Yeah, I think in the UK, most of us would have a passport. Yeah, because most of us are the children of recent immigrants. Big up, everything is everything. Yeah, for the super chat. Yeah, I just send him P. You ain't saying nothing, but yeah, give thanks for that. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my point is that when we're living, one of my favorite poets ever in life. Yeah, I'm a spoken word artist for those who don't know. And one of my favorite poets ever in life is a man by the name of Anum. And he has a poem where he says, each day that I am living, I count my blessings. For its praises I am giving to the one that bleeds me. From eating the bread of my family's sorrow, I'm drinking the blood of my own tomorrow. And what he means by that is, I like this spider, you know. When I see spiders, yeah, everything is everything. I think of Kwekwa and Nancy, you know what I mean? And then it's a spirit that I walk in. In fact, I named my son Takuma. One of his names is Takuma. One of his middle names, because of the link to Kwekwa and Nancy stories and them kind of things. That's a big up for the spider. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, and what Ankanum is saying is that basically we who live in these so-called first world countries, yeah, have certain creature comforts that come to us at the expense of our people back home. So our back home nations are impoverished, yeah, in terms of the resources that are accumulated by these Western countries for the benefit and the technological advancement of the West. Yeah, so our back home nations are impoverished for that, and we get the modicum of a little bit more comfort as a result of living in these nations. And so we have to be conscious of that, yeah, when we're talking about you know, our brothers and sisters back home. Shane says under 50% US people, yeah, have never left America or has a passport. Yeah. Now that is different though, because that reality is different for white Americans. Yeah, because I understand that. I don't know the percentage of white Americans that have a passport. That may also be quite low, but that's also because you don't need a passport to travel around America. And if you think about America, it's 50 states. And each state could be a country in of itself. So, and America is a very insular nation. So a lot of white Americans travel around America. Like traveling to another state is like going to another country for them. Yeah, for a lot of them. So they don't need a passport. For Black Americans, it's not quite the same reality. So we have to acknowledge that. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think, and the evidence suggests to me that they don't really acknowledge the condition. Not they, sorry, I should say the ADOS leaders, because there are many legitimate Pan-Africanists in the United States of America, who have been leading the reparations movement up until now, I should say, who have a global Pan-African perspective. But certainly the ADOS movement knows very little about Africans anywhere else in the world apart from America. And they're arrogant with it as well. It's like they don't even care to correct their ignorance when it comes to these matters. So yeah, and there are other brothers and sisters who actually know better that are supporting them in their foolishness. How long have I been on? Let me see how long I've been on. A whole hour. What way time flies, isn't it? So yeah, so I might jump off soon still, especially because nobody's trying to join me as well. I've just been talking, but yeah, so yeah, that's my answer to that question. College revenge, innit? Yeah, so I feel like we've got to do more with the technology that we have to link up the global African community, and I'm going to be trying to do more of that through my channel as well, with my brothers and sisters in the States and my brothers and sisters in France, because I'm connected like that. You know what I mean? And we've got to do more. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to do have some conversations with brothers and sisters in Sudan, right now, do you know what I'm saying, in Nigeria, in South Africa, if all the movements that are going on in Kenya, you know what I mean? You know, it would be beautiful to do that. So yeah, look out for that, innit? You know what I'm saying? By the way, whilst you're here, yeah, whilst you're here, if you're not familiar with my channel, yeah, my media company, I shouldn't just say channel, I should say media company, Got Kush TV. I am one of the managing directors of Got Kush TV. I'm gonna put the link to the channel in the chat right now, yeah. Subscribe to Got Kush TV. We have a new season of a show called Wordsmith, yeah, coming soon, in the next couple weeks, yeah. Wordsmith is a music show, and we know that the mainstream has a vested interest in marginalizing black music with a positive black message. And so we ain't just complaining about that fact. We are creating platforms to profile artists with a message in their music. So I've left you the link there to subscribe to Got Kush TV. I'm gonna put the chat link in there one more time, just in case anybody wants to join, man. It come like everybody's just happy hearing my voice right about now. I don't know if it's because I ain't been on for a while, so people just letting me talk. I ain't been on the live for a while, so people just letting me talk right now, innit? I'll say it, guys, it's all good, still higher, but I'll share it one more time just in case anybody wants to come and, you know, come back at me with any of the conversation that we've been having. You know what I mean? But yeah, let me see what people are saying. College friend says you are right. Oh, Chief Drano's gonna come on. He says he's gonna talk about his ancestry. Okay, cool. I'll wait for you to come on then, bro. Big up E Black. You don't know. Big up E Black. I saw B2 earlier as well. I don't think I shouted him out. So sorry for that, B2. I think yeah, I did see B2. If I didn't shout you out earlier, B2, blessings. You get me? But yeah, let me see if and when Mr. Chief Drano wants to come on. Drano all the way in Australia. Like, I want to know how black people end up in Australia still. You know, very interesting. Shane Peter says it doesn't open when I click it still. The Hangout link. Okay. I'm not sure. And it even seems longer than usual. I'm not sure why it seems so long. Yeah, but Hangouts tends to be booked sometimes. And I got a notification saying that they're getting rid of the Hangout thing in August or something. Like what are they replacing it with? You get me? Let me want to know. You know. By the way, I had intended to do a series here on Garvey and Garveyism, you know, and because I've been so busy, I haven't been able to get around to it. But before August, before the month of Messiah, I should do at least one video whereby I'm teaching about the life and legacy of Marcus Garvey and the UNIA ACL. You know what I'm saying? So do look out for that if you're on it. You get me? Hey, you know what? Yeah. Yeah. My family just come home in it, so I'm just greeting them. Apologies for the, you know, distraction. Hi, vibes.
So silly.
What? Can't agree.
Outside.
And I'm projecting in it.
Why? You're right in front of the screen.
I'll leave you alone. Click the 9, yeah, if I sound loud, innit? Do I sound like I'm talking too loud? Am I talking too loud? Am I talking at a reasonable tone of voice? Which is it? You get me? All right, Mr. Chief Drano, yeah?
First he says, I'm talking about
Great, wonderful, great. Mr. Chief Drano, if you don't come on in like 5 minutes, yeah, I might lock off and we can reschedule our conversation. I'd love to have a conversation with you properly, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, thank you for joining, man. You know, I just put the 2 and 2 together. I didn't know that the same channel that I watched before, it was you. I'm not sure why I'm not being very observant there. But give thanks for joining me. I do appreciate. But yeah, let me know where I go on. I'm gonna give it 5 minutes, or I might log off and come back another day. Thank you for joining me, though, family. I haven't done a live in months. I ain't been on nobody's live in months. Yeah, you know, cause we've been busy in it, family and business and all these things. But yeah, we're still about in it. I check in with you know, people's pre-recorded videos and them kind of things there every now and then, and these things. So you know, but yeah, and if you happen to listen to this back, Mr. Atticus, now, do you know that I did send you the link as I said I would? You know what I'm saying? So if anybody knows Atticus now, do let him know that I'm on, because he said he wanted to come. He said he wanted to come on and chat to me earlier today. E Black, I don't know if I'm going to the park on Sunday. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But I've caught up on some of the passa, the beer passa that's been going on down there. Me not in the passa business, you know. But at the same time, I didn't like what I was seeing in it. I'm seeing my brother walking through the park and there's like 50, 100 man following him and them thing there. And it's not good. You get me? It's not good at all. So we got to be careful with that situation right there. You know what I mean? We got to be careful with that situation right there still. You know? Yes, Chief Drano. When you're ready, innit? I'll wait for you then. Let me see what you got to say. You know what I mean? So yeah, right, you know, it's a random conversation, innit? Yeah, earlier we were talking about raving. Somebody inevitably asked me about ADOS. And then Khalid's Revenge asked me about Africans in Africa and whether they're race first or not. E Black says, trust, I feel you. I was thinking about going still because I was thinking, wait, you're in the country. Wait, hold on. Is it E Black or B2 that lives out of the country? I can't remember. Thank you, Kojo the African. ADOS is trash. Give thanks for letting us know that still. I was thinking it was an anti-black thing, but I'm hearing it squashed now. If it's squashed, then good, because it was totally unnecessary. So you're in the country. All right, cool. Be nice to meet the man still. Well, yeah, let me know if you're going, innit? If you're going, I'll make a special effort to reach. True, say you're going to be there so that we can link in the physical. You know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah, I didn't like what I saw in it. I didn't like, and it wasn't that. It was a personal thing in it, like because the man never tried to make it an anti-Muslim thing, and it weren't nothing to do with that in it. Like a man swung at a brother, and a couple of brothers swung back. That's what happened in it. Like nothing to do with Islam, fam. Get me? Let's not beg it. Kojo the African says, I felt bad listening to you go back and forth with an individual such as Wajal. Why did you feel bad about it? Why did you feel bad about that? That's their justification. Yeah, I agree, bro. You know what I'm saying? The man never tried, because I see, because I see man here that I haven't seen since I've been going to the park. Because I've been going to the park less than a year. But I've seen videos of certain man. And certain man came down there literally salivating, my G. Literally salivating. Yeah, looking for beef and that. Yeah, looking to fight and them thing there. Bun that, my G. Yeah, bun that. You get me? Like, it's not happening out here. Yeah, but I do respect how Jedi dealt with that situation, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to when there's like that many people kind of following you about the place. I do respect how he dealt with that situation. That could have gone anywhere. Kojo the African says, because his arguments were awful and you have a lot of patience. And you have a lot of patience. Everything says, Wajal is a legend. He's just wrong on ADOS, but big up Wajal. So big up Wajal. I agree with that. Yeah, when it comes to this Mejanetta business, I do appreciate the brother's work. You know what I'm saying? I agree though, he's wrong on ADOS. And I don't find his arguments consistent either. Yeah, I don't find them consistent. having said that, he's my brother, and anytime he wants to converse on the subject, we can do that. He said, because I had a conversation with him on the Amin Ra squad, him and our brothers and sisters on the Amin Ra squad channel once, and he said following that he was gonna hold some conversations on his own channel, and he was gonna invite me. I never got the invitation. I never got that invitation, so you know, I don't know why. It could be anything, you know what I'm saying, but yeah, I'm always willing to have the conversation with the brother. He's a brother that I respect, even though I think his position, the position that he's taken as far as ADOS is concerned, is fundamentally flawed, fundamentally wrong. And so, but yeah, anytime you want to have that conversation, we can, especially because the issues go well beyond just the specifics of the ADOS movement, and its relationship to reparations. The idea of Africa and African identity and narratives that divide or unify us, you know, sorry, before the division and unity, this accuracy, historical accuracy, yeah, is very important. And so yeah, you know what I mean? So anytime the brother wants a conversation, that can go on in it. Can you talk about his statement claiming we're all African? I never get the argument. I'm probably gonna do a presentation on this at some point. Wajau and ShakaRa debating may be smarter. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that compliment. Brother Wajau is exceptional when it comes to the Medjugorje scholarship, yeah, and teaching. You know what I'm saying? So he's leading in that regard, and so there's a lot that we can learn from our brother in that respect. In fact, there are all the members of the Amin Ra School I respect in a lot of different ways. Brother Asat Imhotep is the first one of them that I got to know about. I got to know about Asat Imhotep long before I really knew about the Amin Ra School, to be honest. Or sorry, I should say long before I knew that he was actually a member of the Amin Ra Squad. Because I knew about the Amin Ra Squad, but I didn't know he was a member of it. So yeah, but his work is because I consider myself a cultural scientist, and so brother Asat Imhotep's work speaks to me a lot in that regard. You know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully we can facilitate more conversation with the brothers. I may invite Brother Wajau on this channel. You know what I'm saying? So I did mention to him at the end of the conversation on Dagger Squad that he did extend an invitation. I'm most willing to come if when he invites me. I have invited him before actually on this channel. But yeah, so yeah, if brothers and sisters want to see us have further a conversation, I'm willing to invite Brother Wajau on this channel, so we can further that conversation. You know what I mean? Kojo, when you get to certain intellect, small things are small. I'm not on that level. don't that self-deprecating violence. Yeah, everybody is just about study, innit? It's just about study. And I think whereas I do know what my strengths are. I also know what my weaknesses are. When it comes to Pan-African politics, I think that's probably my strength. And so, and I even have weaknesses in that area. Right. To answer your question, he's dealing with it from a biological perspective. The idea though that all human beings are Africans. What I find with some members of the Amin Ra Squad is that they come from a very mainstream scientific perspective. And so what I mean when I say that is that they study what the available evidence suggests or what the available scientific journals are suggesting, and oftentimes form conclusions based upon that. And that's not necessarily a wrong thing to do, but there are political implications for a lot of this stuff. The all human beings are Africans thing is something that I first heard with a biologist who has been quite pioneering in modern research on the theories of evolution. His name is Richard Dawkins. Yeah, so check him out, white guy, and he had this whole campaign all human beings are African. And to me, yeah, that statement has political implications. And I don't even think it's obscure in terms of what the political implications are. And I also don't think the statement is accurate. So what Wujao means is that because humanity began in Africa, all Africans, yeah, all human beings are produced out of the African biological makeup, yeah, because humanity originated in Africa. That is a fact, or I should say, all available evidence points to the idea that that is a fact. However, for me to say that all human beings are Africans, yeah, I would have to see evidence of the fact that the European, yeah, because as the theory of evolution states and the development of different races states, yeah, I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding of it goes that basically humans mutated and not evolved. Evolution is a different thing from my understanding, yeah. But in terms of how different races developed, it has to do with mutations and adaptations to environment over thousands and millions of years, yeah. And so the European comes about as a result of adaptation to the environment in the area we know as Europe. Yes. And the same goes for all other peoples on the planet, and there is some level of quote unquote you know, mixing going on in terms of the you know, how certain people come into the world as well. Okay. The oldest European found known to us at this time is found in Europe, not Africa. Yeah, you can find Africans all over the planet, like the African biological makeup, evidence of it all over the planet. Yeah. Now, the reason why I say it's political is the idea that all humans are African, as far as I am concerned, is a ploy by the mainstream scientific community to neutralize the political power that can and has come from an African identity, a unified African identity. Yeah. Ever since World War II, whereas prior to World War II, the global Western power structure promoted a specifically racial dissection of the world, and that racial dissection of the world was reflected in the economic realities of the world. So they tried to shape the world to the benefit of Europe and Europeans. And so they degraded Africa and African identity in that context. The liberation movements throughout the 1900s foregrounded African identity as a unifying force for political and economic organization. More specifically, the Pan-African movements of the 1950s and 60s, coupled with the Black Power movements that were going on in Britain, in America, and throughout the Caribbean, throughout South and Central America, I should actually include, foregrounded this African identity. And so ever since then, the powers that be of white supremacy have tried to find ways to neutralize that energy, that vibration. They've done so using various different means. And one of them is soft power. And the primary means of European soft power at this particular juncture is the idea of globalization. Yeah, the global community. Yes, we are all one. We're all the same under the skin. Yes, and all this kind of nonsense. Okay. And so whereas they used to fight tooth and nail about the fact that, you know, all human beings didn't come from Africa, now they're readily accepting it. But what's happening in the world when Europeans are readily accepting African origin of humanity? What's happening? Yeah, are we seeing that Europeans, corporations, are seeking to maintain and further their dominance of African land and resources? Are we seeing that China is entering Africa, and there is now a Cold War between China and the West in terms of who's going to control African resources and who's going to economically benefit the most from African resources? Is that what we're seeing? Yeah. So when you see Europeans talking about we're all African, yeah, I think it's dangerous, personally, for us as African people to be championing that narrative. No, Africans are African. Yeah, and furthermore from that, Africa for the Africans. See, if all human beings are Africans, the statement Africa for the Africans has no meaning anymore. So fire burn. For all humans are Africans. Ban that. No, all humanity begins in Africa. All human beings are not Africans. Yeah, fire for that. Africa for the Africans. Yeah, and so this is the point. They want to say that we're all Africans so that they can justify their commandeering of African land and resources to the benefit of Europe, the destruction of African culture and self-determined African nationhood. Yeah, the continued manipulation of the IMF, the World Bank, and multinational corporations from Europe. That's their agenda. So we cannot afford to be buying into the slogans that facilitate their agenda. Banda. Big up, I am King Sosa. You don't know. Has wait a minute. Yo, Chief Jano hasn't joined me yet, you know. That's a long 2 minutes, my G. That's a full Ghana 2 minutes right there, you know. Full Ghana 2 minutes. Let me read some of these comments. Kojo the African says 100% fact. I've missed out some stuff here. Yes, finally someone gets it. Yes, mainstream Western white non-white politicized science. And they are everything says, and they are not afraid to adjust with new information. Context is environment, change people. He also goes on to say it was out of context, which y'all knows environment changes people. He was making a point. Yeah, I agree. You know what I'm saying? To be fair though, I've heard him say that before. I've listened to many Amarasko and you know, and I this because what he's trying to put forward is the fact that African is not a polity. It is not a nation state. Yeah, it is not a nationality. And my point is that, yeah, before 1776, no one's American. What's your point? Yeah, American was not a polity before 1776. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There was no 50 states. There was 13 to begin with, and they robbed some land from some other people, and you know what I'm saying, created more wars to rob more land, and you know, now we have this formulated American identity today. So why can't the same process take place for African people, as was the program laid down by our revolutionary ancestors? Why is it necessary for us to abandon that program and call it things like outdated and say things like it's 2019? I don't understand that. Yeah, you could not tell. See, when people diss Pan-Africanism, yeah, based upon the fact that it's 2019, especially when these people are ADOS and promoting Americanism and American identity and America first, You can't go to America and tell the people about that their founding fathers from 200 years ago are no longer relevant. So how comes our revolutionaries from 50 years ago, 100 years ago, are irrelevant? If George Washington is relevant to America today, why isn't Martin Delaney relevant to Africans today? How is that? How does that even make sense? Let me read these comments. Shane says the transformation of the Caucasian nose can be seen as an adaptation. Just about every other difference came from the degradation of the DNA. All right. This is refreshing to hear, brother. Finally, give thanks, Kudjo the African. Everything says all humans came from Africans, but all Africans are not. All humans are not Africans. I agree with that. Big up to I Am King Soul. So I think I said that already, but just in case, yeah, let me say that again. Everything said degradation of DNA is not correct. DNA adjusts to best fit environment or so organisms can live. I hear that. At one point in the 90s, I do remember reading some scientific journal that used the word mutation in relation to how different races came about, specifically the European. Mutation, as I understand it scientifically, is generally speaking considered to be a degradation, whereas evolution is not. Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah. But I'm willing to be corrected on that if I'm wrong in my understanding of the terminology. They are not entirely who they are because of adaptation, but manifestation of weaker or even absent. I think that's meant to be DNA. Yeah, DNA. Chief Driver says, haha, I'm trying to come on, but I can't. Oh, okay. I'm not sure where I'm going. But yeah, all right, cool. We'll leave it another day, Chief Driver, because I'd love to interact with you, my brother, from living in Australia. Are you from Ghana, bro? Chief Driver, in my mind, I'm thinking that you're from Ghana, but you're living in Australia. Is that correct? Everything says weaker is not a correct term. They are best in the zones they adapt for. There has been adaptation, but there is proof that they have lost numerous sequences, even entire genes. After 4 generations of white to white breeding creates genetic failure due to there not being enough dominant genes. I think I think there's some truth to that statement. To carry on thereby, an 18-year-old male and females are unable to have children. Too many of their genes have been lost. What I do understand is that oh, it's gone out of my head. There was a scientific thing that was in my mind in terms of biology and race, and it's gone out of my head at the moment. Genetic variety. That there's more genetic variety, yeah, among African people than there is among any other people on the planet, and so that's why it is possible for all of these people to come from, you know, from us, and not necessarily the reverse, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, and as well, there a few years ago, I don't know if you have studied this thing about the Neanderthal, basically the idea that all of us are not products of the same evolutionary process, because Africans don't have the Neanderthal gene DNA, but Europeans do. I'm not sure how much that applies to other people on the planet, but yeah, apparently that's quite a unique, you know, development in human evolution. Yeah. So yeah, I don't buy this argument that all human beings are African. But again, and like because the statement is political, yeah, there is no biological fact to that statement, because Africa as a landmass has a political and social significance that is not catered for in the biological sense. Yeah, just what I'm saying. So when you say all the human beings are Africans, yeah, that is a socio-political statement, yeah, that we can't sanction in any pro-Black liberation agenda, because it comes from its origin. yeah, is based upon a Eurocentric globalization agenda, which is inherently anti-African. So fire for that. I ban that completely. Yeah. I am King Soul says mutation is adaptation does not mean weaker, but the problem with Pan-Africanism is that it lacks true definition. You know what? I am King Sosa. I'm going to agree and disagree with you. Pan-Africanism doesn't lack true definition. It's just that the definitions have been diversified, and the term has been used to as a kind of catch-all for you know, a kind of surface level, superficial level of allusion to Black unity. That, however, doesn't take away from the fact that Pan-Africanism has very definitive definition in our history, and there are variations of Pan-Africanism, and even the variations have definitive definition. The way we combat it is through continued dialogue and through continued definition. The idea, and one way we don't combat it, for example, is via ahistorical arguments like Pan-Africanism is dead. But for example, I'm a Garveyite, yeah, and the Garveyite tradition in Pan-Africanism is a different evolution, or is a variation on the Nkrumahist, yeah, evolution in Pan-Africanism, yeah. Many similarities, some variation, but you can clearly define the variations, yeah. There are differences in Pan-Africanism as espoused by Kwame Nkrumah, and as espoused by Julius Nyerere, for example. Many similarities, but variation as a result of the specific unique challenges of the areas that they lived, and so on. What is important is that we study and understand the evolution in the context of the problems that the people were trying to solve when they developed this ideology. Yeah, so we can't study theory outside of the real situations, the context that the people were dealing with at the time. We cannot study Kwame Nkrumah outside of the Pan-African movement on the continent at the time, and the problems that he was trying to solve, and the activities that he enacted, yeah, the programs that he put in stream in order to solve those problems. It's not just a theoretical exercise, yeah. And so the idea, and I'm gonna say this, I am King Sosa, the idea that Pan-Africanism lacks definition is something that is being put forward by adversaries of Pan-Africanism in order to not take it seriously. Yeah, any Pan-Africanist that's been around, I'll put Jared Ball forward, for example. Jared Ball is a very knowledgeable brother on issues of Pan-Africanism. Yeah, and in the sense that he understands the tradition, the variation, the different schools of thought within it. Yeah, so there is no lack of definition if we're dealing with Pan-Africanism as a political, economic, and social ideology and movement. There is, if we're just talking about people that wear African garments and have African names and say Hotep. Yeah, if you're using that, not you as in I am King Sosa, just in general, anybody is using that to define Pan-Africanism, then yes, that is a lack of definition. But that lack of definition comes from your lack of study, as opposed to the movement itself. I was raised in the Pan-African movement. Political debate is a dominant feature of the movement. Yeah, defining the ideology, the movements, the strategies, the formations is a prominent feature of the movement. Yeah, everything says if the earth go through another ice age, who will be stronger, us or Europeans? I can't answer that question. So anybody that can answer that question, feel free. Who was there in the previous ice age? Everybody on the planet at the time, but the people that were in Europe got caught in it. And there is some, like if you watch films like why are them films there? Wait, not Day After Tomorrow. Yeah, actually, the day after tomorrow, and another one. But when they deal with the whole issue of climate change, they suspect that a similar thing will happen. That you know, if when it gets real bad, and everybody have to go to Africa. You see, we look at that again. Yeah, everybody have to go to Africa. All human beings are Africans, so they can justify after they've gone around with capitalism and mash up the entire world. Yeah, now they can justify everybody having to migrate to Africa because we're all African. We're all going back home. Fire for that. Yeah, I'm not falling into their agenda. All right. I am King Soul says not definition but true definition. So one can say that it's not right. I don't understand what you mean there, bro. Please explain. That it's not. I don't get it. I would love a different forum where you can explain more. What do you mean, O'Shane Peters? Well, like a live thing, like as in come to a building and I'm gonna deliver a presentation. And we can reason. But yeah, but as I said before, because I'm answering this question because somebody asked me about it in relation to Brother Wajal. So yeah. Yeah, like as I said before, I'm willing to invite him on. And we can have this conversation if brothers and sisters want it. You know what I mean? I am aware of the Sans people. I'm just saying we all survive, so we will all live. Yeah, no, I think I was asking you, what do you mean by would love a different forum where you could explain more? Are you talking to me there, O'Shane Peters, or are you talking to somebody else in the chat? And what do you mean by a different forum? You know what I mean? I want to say once again, if you haven't subscribed to Got Kush TV, please do. You get me? By the way, there's 17 people watching. I'd like to know where you're at. Yeah, like let me know which part of the world you're in. I want to get a sense of where everyone is at. Big up to Brother Delani. Brother Delani, for those who may not be aware, is one of the members of the Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee. In the UK, every 1st of March, there is a march to Parliament, campaigning for reparations and organizing the African community over here on the issue of reparations. And you know what's beautiful about that march is that you will find Africans from all over the world on that march. I didn't even know you was in Atlanta, King Sosa. I was in Atlanta in May. As you know, yeah, you're in London. Yes, O'Shane. Yeah, I want to know where people are. I know there's America, there's Australia, there's London, New York. Spoiled Black is in New York. Big up to Spoiled Black. Big up to the New York family. You get me? Anybody else? I want to know where people are. Yeah. You know what I love about my brothers and sisters in America though. They don't just say they don't just say they're in America. Like they say they're city. Yeah. And you know what I find, yeah. Thank you for the correction, Brother Delani. I was saying August for the sake of communication, but you're right. We don't call it August, we call it Mosiah, the month of Messiah, after Marcus Mosiah Garvey, because that's the month that he was born. So yeah, but what I love about the Reparation March over here is that there's Africans from all over, and you will see the Africans from all over represented in their groups. Yeah, so there are Africans from Namibia and Nigeria, and the Igbo people of who campaigned for Biafra, the state of Biafra state. Have a block, yeah, in the march, and then you have the Africans from West Papa, yeah, who have representation at the march as well. So the point I'm making is that this is a march, yeah, and the reparations movement in the UK brings together, yeah. I think I did mention Namibia, brother Delani, but it expressly tries to represent, yeah, the variety of perspectives, yeah, and cases of reparation. We understand that there are specific issues to do with specific areas of the African world. We understand that. There's no reason why we have to develop a movement whereby Africans from the Caribbean who are in the UK are dissing Africans from the continent and saying that you never went through chattel slavery. If we understand what colonialism is, that's not an argument to have. Yeah, that is not an. Yes, brother Delani, you've got of Herero. It's Herero people, yes, of Namibia. Yeah, are represented. Yeah, if we know what colonialism is, yeah, the difference between what we experience as Africans enslaved in the Caribbean, in the Americas, and what our brothers and sisters suffered on the continent is not an argument to have. It's their experiences to understand, but they're not arguments to have. Yeah, and the Pan-African movement has maintained and sustained the reparations issue. There would be no reparations movement right about now if it was not for the Pan-African movement. Facts. Anywhere in the world, I don't care where it is. UK, Caribbean, USA, Europe, African continent. It's the Pan-African movement and the Rastafari movement, which is part of the Pan-African movement, that kept the issue of reparations alive. Now, I beg nothing for talk there. You get me? All right, we're gonna try this one more time here, because I was gonna log off soon, but Chief Drano has done his best here to get on. So I'm gonna try and send you the link differently. In fact, send me your email, Chief Drano. I'm gonna put my email in the thing. Just send me your email. Yeah, send me your email, and I'll try and add you that way. I'm gonna do my best, bro, because I see you trying, you know what I mean?
Hey.
All right. Robert Delani says, we have always maintained a Pan-African view towards reparations. Yeah, we have, you know what I'm saying? And this is like the reparations movement over here has been strong for quite some time. Yeah. And we've always done that. We have never entertained the argument that Africans sold us into slavery. Africans sold Africans into slavery. We've never done that. Never entertained the argument, because that was the argument that the British government tried to bring us in 2007 when they were celebrating and commemorating 200 years since they supposedly abolished the slave trade. Yeah, and Tony Blair in 2006 with his statement of regret, and the rest of the British establishment attempted, yeah, to even go into schools, yeah, and teach the children that it was African kings and chiefs and priests on the African continent who sold their brothers and sisters into slavery. Fire for that. And we're not begging no friend to fire on them argument there, because them argument is nothing more than the attempt of the enslaver to shirk responsibility for his enslaving acts. What's a fact? I am King Sosa. What's a fact? It's a false narrative. Yeah. But no, sorry, I don't want to confuse that. Are you saying that the idea that African sold us into slavery is a fact? I am King Sosa. Because all the people that say this thing, you know, they give you one article from one sister from Nigeria who's talking about her own grandfather. Yeah. Now, if she talked about her own grandfather, how long ago could that have been? Yeah. Right. And if slavery took place, yeah, over a 400-year process, because remember, by the time slavery licked America, slavery was already old. The Portuguese were in Africa from the 1400s. They're celebrating 400 years since the first African got to America. Yeah, this year, which is 1619. Okay, so there was already 100 years, over 100 years, yeah, well over 100 years in the thing before it got to the United States of, or what is now the United States of America. And so over the period of 400 years, let us assume, yeah, that by the time we get to the 1800s, that the system is so entrenched on the continent that you could justifiably say that these people are collaborating. These people on the continent are collaborating. Why is nobody asking the question? How did it get to that point? Did the Europeans just turn up on the shores of Africa and find Africans ready to just sell their people? Is that what happened? Nobody can justify that argument because it's not true. Not a Nagosa. If Africans were enslaving other Africans and willing to sell them into slavery, it would suggest that Africans knew and understood the benefit of forced labor, free labor. So where is all the forced and free labor, yeah, that had benefited Africa in the way that we see the forced and free labor has continued to benefit Britain, France, the United States of America, Portugal, to this day? They're still living off the ill-gotten gains. So no, I don't buy this argument about Africans sold us into slavery. Yeah, it's a divisive argument designed, yeah, designed to characterize our brothers and sisters still on the continent as culpable in our enslavement. I do not hold Africans on the continent as culpable in the enslavement of my ancestors. I don't do that. I think it's dangerous to do that. I think it's dangerous. So what is the context for that though? I am King Sosa. Trade for guns and iron. Yeah. So what's the context for that? Yeah. What's the context for that? And this is, we could learn a lot from people, you know. You can't tell Jews that their ancestors collaborated with the Nazis. No, they'll tell you, and I've seen this firsthand. Yeah. They'll tell you any Jew in Germany at that time would have been fearing for his life. So you put collaboration in the context, in that context. Yeah, what's the context for it? And that doesn't mean that there were no deficiencies among us at that time that we have to look at. Yeah, but we don't buy into white supremacist propaganda. Yeah, and curse our ancestors for the sake of Americanism. Fire for that. I wouldn't do it in the name of Britishness. Ban that. Yeah, in fact, let me read something for you. Yeah, because people talk about scholarship and data. Yeah, let me read something for you. I'm sure some of you have seen this before. Yeah, because I've shared it bare times, in it, but it just makes sense. Yeah, there is a book, yeah, by the name of Fighting the Slave Trade. It's edited by a sister by the name of Sylviane Diouf. I believe that she resides in New York. But I still want to know where people are, you know. So if you let me know where you are, I want to know where everyone's listening in from. Yeah, 21 people. So you've got New York, you've got Atlanta, you've got Melbourne, Australia, you've got London. Let me just double check. Sorry, I just got to check if my brother Chief Drano has sent me his email, so I can try and add him to the conversation. Yeah. Sorry for the delay, Chief Drano. I got caught up in the talking. You get me? But yeah, no, this narrative is very destructive. Yeah, and the reparations movement globally has done a lot of work to challenge and contextualize that narrative. So it's not that people don't accept, yeah, that we have had collaborators all throughout the enslavement process, not just in Africa. Yeah. So if we're gonna ban the collaborators, let's ban the collaborators on everywhere then. Yeah, you're not checking up on the ancestry in the United States of America to see who's got collaborator ancestors and who's got enslaved ancestors who didn't collaborate. No, because you understand that any collaboration, yeah, in that context would have taken place in the context of daily threats to life. Yeah, daily threats to life. Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, these Europeans, yeah, were on the continent creating wars and killing people and massacring families and destroying nations and villages and groups of people in order to enslave. Yeah, they never just come there and find people ready to sell their own people. And even the idea of selling their own people doesn't take into consideration the social dynamics on the continent at that time. Yeah, because there were wars between different groups, and so there were situations in which prisoners of war, yeah, were sometimes given to Europeans. Yeah, that would not have been considered in the mind of an African at that time, selling up. I shouldn't say in the mind of an African, in the minds of all Africans. Yeah, at that time, selling another African into slavery. Some did have that sensibility. There were groups that tried to unite to fight the slave trade, so-called slave trade. Why is it that nobody's talking about the Africans on the continent that were fighting the slave trade, the so-called slave trade? Why is that not a topic of conversation? Yeah, no one ain't doing that. These people, ask them, the people them that's talking about Africans into slavery. Ask them why them not talk about the African them where did they fight back? I want to them. Slavery. Ask them.
What's good, family?
Is that Chief Drano?
Yes, this is Giovanni. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem, bro. Just put the
yeah,
mute button on your thing.
out.
Yeah. All right. This is a quote, yeah. No problem, bro. Taken from a book by the name of Fighting the Slave Trade. By the sister, edited by the sister called Sylvia Diouf, yeah. And this is in her introduction to the book. She says, with the sharp increase in immigration, the African betrayal model has found new vigor. Contemporary Africans are frequently accused by some African Americans of having sold us, quote unquote, and are expected to apologize. Henry Lewis, and by the way, this book was published first year. I'm forgetting the year. 2007 is in my mind, but I could be slightly wrong on that. I'll come back to that in a second. Henry Louis Gates, yeah, the noted. I'm gonna be kind and just say noted historian. Pursued the idea in his television series Wonders of the African World, and went on to state that others, quote, others have wondered, and I am thinking here of Yambo Olonguem's, sorry, my pronunciation there, great novel Bound to Violence, 1971. If Africa was cursed because of the apparent willingness of so many African societies to participate in the slave trade, bartering what to us here appears to be their sisters and brothers for a mess of pottage, unquote. That's Henry Louis Gates speaking in 2001. She goes on, as explored by Joseph E. Inikori in this volume, medieval Europeans were also involved in bartering their own quote unquote brothers and sisters, actions for which no divine curse is evoked. So Europeans were warring all the time during this period, yeah, and enslaving each other. Nobody invokes whether Europe is cursed, yeah, as a result of this action, okay? And the present is not exempt from similar attitudes. According to the US State Department's Trafficking in Persons Report, 2002, traffickers throughout the world buy, sell, and transport between 700,000 and 4 million individuals, yeah, mostly young women and children, every year for prostitution and slave labor. The numbers are between 700,000 and 4 million individuals, mostly young women and children, every year for prostitution and slave labor. 26 nations in Europe and the former Soviet Union, 19 in Asia, 10 in the Americas, 16 in Africa, and 6 in the Middle East were involved as source, transit, or destination countries. Listen carefully now. as for their massive collaboration that many believe had been necessary to display 12 million people, yeah, the current traffic in human being yields some informative hints. By the way, 12 million people is the estimated number, and that's a very conservative estimate of people that are trafficked to the Americas in the so-called transatlantic slave trade. All right, listen, the United States alone, listen to this, receives as transit and destination country about 50,000 victims of the sexual traffic annually. Within 370 years, the length of the transatlantic slave trade, if the present rates were sustained, 18.5 million women and children could be introduced by networks that manifestly do not involve most Europeans, Asians, Africans, Middle Easterns, and Americans. I wonder if everybody understands what I just read. Yeah, just in case there's anybody who does not understand. Yeah, and by the way, I am King Sosa. I mentioned what you said already in terms of Ghana already. Ghana did not apologize. Anyway, let me share the link here. People are having problems getting on. Yeah, Ghana did not apologize. There were certain nations, so-called tribes in Ghana, who had ceremonies of reconciliation. Yeah, and which is a necessary part of the reparation process. That's called internal reparations. When wrongs are done within a nation, among a people, you have ceremonies and rituals that reconcile the spirit of that wrongdoing. Yeah, so the people can be reconciled to themselves. That's very different. Yeah, that's very different to what we're talking about here in terms of the European and what they did. And our case reparations against them. I've shared the link. Anybody that wants to join the chat can join the conversation. Chief Drano, is that what we're calling you, Chief Drano? Are we calling you Chief Drano?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can call me
cool.
Chief.
Yes, sir. Chief. Greetings, my brother. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure
greetings,
to have
family.
you on.
What's good, family?
It's a pleasure to have you on, bro. Like I said, I am familiar with your channel. I believe I'm a subscriber. And if I'm not, let me just correct that right now. Yeah,
I think
I'm
you
not.
are. Yes.
You're
not.
No, I just corrected.
Oh, you must have dropped out.
No, yeah,
what happened is
I might have subscribed via Gotkush TV and not my own personal channel. So that happens.
Right. What happens is if you subscribe to a channel and you're not active with that channel, you get disconnected as well.
Right,
so
okay.
the algorithms with YouTube is really
quite
funny. So you end up losing subscriptions sometimes. But yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon over there right now, isn't it?
No, it's actually 10 a.m. 10:08.
In Melbourne. Oh, I got
Melbourne, Australia. Yes, that's right.
My time zones mixed up then. Why did I think you were 12 hours behind?
Yeah, we do have what's it called in winter because of the we have like longer nights than and shorter days, so we go backwards. The clock go backwards.
Okay.
And then in spring we go forward. So we used to saying that in spring we spring forward and then fall we fall back. So
okay. Right,
we fall back 1 hour in winter, and then we spring forward 1 hour.
How long have you lived in Australia? And what brought you?
I've almost 20 years I've been in Australia. My family came here in 2001. My dad's sister and her husband came to New Zealand in 1972.
Okay.
And then they moved to Australia in the late 80s. And then but my dad went to school here in Australia, and then that paved the way for us to come here as well.
All right, cool. Oh, by the way, so I'm gonna come back to you, Chief. Yeah. O'Shane is just reminded me to explain what I just read.
Right. I'll mute myself.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying there is that, by the way, King Sosa, if you're having problems getting on, send me your email address, yeah, and I'll try and get you on that way. What I've just read, yeah. So in terms of the numbers, yeah, Now, what she's basically saying is that there is people are being trafficked, yeah, by the hundreds of thousands every year, and this is a worldwide so-called trade, yeah, that is taking place right now under all of our noses, and most of us know nothing about it. Yeah, if you was to ask many of us about human trafficking, we only hear about it if and when we're watching TV. Yeah, okay, and so the fact of the matter is that that so-called trade, yeah, takes place, yeah, is what she's saying, without the collaboration, yeah, of the majority of the people in the nations to which these people are being trafficked from and to the most. So why, when we say Africans sold us into slavery, what we're doing, and this is the idea, yes, that many people are promoting, is that African nations were slave economies. That we had economies that were based upon the so-called trade of Africans from Africa to the Americas. Yeah, and I don't think that is an argument, yeah, that the people that make it can sustain. Yeah, Britain built an economy, yeah, in which enslavement was a primary economic resource. America, when they liberated themselves from Britain, remembering that America was a colony of Britain for the majority of the enslavement process, yes, America developed an economy in which enslavement was a primary economic resource. I do not believe that anybody can substantiate, even in instances where you can say an African nation, yeah, had slavery, that the nation's economy was based upon slavery. I don't think anybody can make the argument. And I'm ready and willing, yeah, I wait for somebody to correct me on that. Yeah, I wait for it. All right, so I hope that's explained that. Right, Chief, is there anything that specifically that you want to touch on? You don't have to deal with the subject that I'm dealing right about now, so feel free to change the subject if you want. I'm sure somebody else will bring us back to it at some point.
No, I'm actually learning a whole lot of the things that you mentioned. I am partially aware of. I would say about 90% aware of that. You might be better learned than I am, but I was recently on a show with O'Shea. I don't know if you know of O'Shea Jackson.
Yes.
He's one of the staunch ADOS promoters. What strikes me with the ADOS is that Yvette Cornell, the one that promotes the ADOS, she claims that she is more of Irish, English, German descent than she is African, and apparently she claims to be 60% of European and about less than 40% African. So the question was posed to her, is she African? She says she's not African. We ain't Africans. We ain't Africans. So you can see where the anti-African sentiments are coming from. She doesn't see herself as African at all. Similarly, when you go to South America, especially countries like Dominican Republic, how they've hated the Haitians.
Yes.
Although they live on the same island, just because they are lighter shade than the Haitians have remained true and true African. But the Dominicans have mixed with the Spanish-speaking people and the French-speaking people and whatever, or aka white people, right? Because they're a touch lighter than the Haitians, they just hate the Haitians. They hate the black side, and they don't see themselves as Africans at all. But throughout the Caribbean, no matter how light you are, okay, they do actually have at least 23% African DNA.
Yes.
Even Argentinians, they managed to wipe out the black population in Argentina to the point where the Argentinian president was asked, are there black people in Argentina? And the Argentine president said that's a Brazilian problem. Verbatim. So you can see systematically they just want to whitewash the black side, and so they don't want to go back to it. So to the point where it led to genocide of Haitians in Dominican Republic. About 10,000 people got murdered, I think, in the 1920s. you know. So this anti-African sentiment goes really, really deep. So much that these so-called ADOS group just want to, you know, amalgamate into the American society, and to the point where they don't see any hope in Africa rising, or basically because Africa, the respect of Africa has been taken away. They don't want to see themselves as Africans anymore. So this is the problem, African. And I said it on O'Shea show, also relating to the Africans selling other Africans. I mean, like you mentioned it, right? Where is the, you know, the wealth? You trace the paper. Europeans have all the wealth. We know very well that Henry Ford, his ancestors were slave owners, and that wealth transpired into him being an automobile giant. You know, so you can see where the wealth has been transformed from. You know, so it's everywhere, and Africans have got nothing. You go to Africa right now, you don't see a single, you know, millionaire mate that is wealthy enough to compare to any of these, someone like Donald Trump. You know, you can't. Even the chiefs in Africa themselves do not have enough, you know, the same amount of wealth as an ordinary person in the United States. So this whole thing that Africans sold other Africans is just intellectually deficient. And what I would say is nobody goes into business to lose. On a grand scale, like Africans lost, I don't think it was business at all. And when you speak in business terms like trade, commerce, and stuff like that, it wasn't a business at all between Africans and Europeans. It was solely done by Europeans, manipulated. You know, and going back to the Berlin conference, they just solidified it by what they planned. They did, you know, 500 years prior, dividing Africans, pinning Africans against one another. So the evidence is there, overwhelmingly is there, that they pin Africans against each other. They sold guns, and then they go, like the devil speaks in one ear and then speaks in the other ear. Oh, why don't you buy these guns and sell me these people without costing you trouble, or this and that. So I mean, it's no business at all. It's no business, to a point where they just went there and started raping Africans and you know, just taking whatever they want. They didn't need any permission from anybody. So yeah,
the argument is this silly, Chief Drano, yeah?
Yeah, it's intellectually deficient. I mean, anyone who brings that sort of argument that Africans sold Africans is just mind-boggling. Like,
exactly.
where's the pride, where's the intelligence?
Sorry, I am King Sosa, yeah, but because I had challenged you about this the other day. This thing about you have to remove emotion and everything there. First of all, I don't claim, when I'm discussing the enslavement of my ancestors, I don't claim to be emotionless. Yeah, I really don't. And I don't think emotionlessness should be a requirement of having the conversation. I really don't. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I don't try to separate myself from emotion when I'm having.
I'll tell you this. I don't know if you know of Michael Imhotep. Sorry to cut you there, but he has a YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. I think he's a journalist and he has his own school of history or something like that.
Okay.
He has a very good definition of racism.
Yeah.
And it's based on economics. Okay, so the acquisition of wealth and the distribution of it, okay, to benefit a select group of people at the expense of other people, and i.e. black people. But now you have white people in the same mess as black people as well. So where's the racism? Okay, so secondly, he also stated that I can't remember. It just skipped me, but it will come back to me. So yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. So what I'm saying is, it's possible, yeah, to have emotion and not be ruled by it. Yeah. So the argument that I am putting forward, and an argument based upon emotion.
Yes.
I think is disingenuous. I've asked many questions, and you know, I am King Sosa, that I've asked many questions with regards to ADOS and some of what they put forward as so-called stats and information. Yeah, and I haven't got sufficient answers for them. They can't substantiate the argument. But if I read from a text which is studied how Africans on the continent fought back, fought back. Yeah, just I'm saying. There is no book. It's probably the only book written on the subject. There is no, people have not done sufficient study on what Africans did on the continent to fight back, and so that is one of the reasons why this narrative of Africans having sold us into slavery is allowed to proliferate. Yeah. So so finally, I don't see how you can tell me that the argument that Africans sold us into slavery, especially in terms of how it is used to justify attitudes towards Africans from the continent today, is not driven by pure emotion. Yeah, it is an argument that is used to justify negative attitudes, towards the continent. These people have not researched the thing. Go on, bro.
Yeah, no, you're right. It also speaks volume of the kind of people they are as well. Like I stated before, that Yvette Cornell said she was 60% European and less African, so she doesn't see herself as African, right? Yeah. So that led me to my second quote from Michael Imhotep that skipped me before. He also said that your thoughts create feelings, and your feelings create actions, and your actions determines your future. Okay, so their thoughts, how they think, basically is leading to how they feel. And then the ADOS is just coming out of their thought process and their feelings. So their future action is to separate themselves from Africans. And this is what we're seeing, the anti-African rhetorics that they're spewing. All right, so I just wanted to point that out there. But yeah, you're right. Throughout Africa, there's been so many wars fought, to repel invasion. And I always like to go back to history, going back 3,000 years, where Egypt was invaded by Eurasians, and it never stopped. So that spiraled the downfall of Africa till date. So the North Africans repelled a lot of invaders, like the Romans and the Germanic tribes. And then when we speak of the Ashanti, they were always at war. At the time the Ashantis arrived on the shores of the Gold Coast, which they call the Gold Coast, now Ghana, and rightfully so. Ghana is now the world leader in producing of gold. They named it that. But the Ashantis always fought the British, and the last war they fought was, I think, in 1901, where they expelled Ashantiwa, which I'm sure you know of.
Yes.
Right? So, you would have heard of the Portuguese Angolan War, which involved Cuba and the Russians and stuff like that. 8,000 Cubans died to liberate Angola from Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just the latest. But we talk of the Congos, the wars that took place in the Congo. Anytime we showed resistance, they either go and try to wipe us out. So even the Battle of Ottawa, 500,000 people died to protect the sovereignty of Ethiopia.
Yeah, bro.
We always fought the Europeans. The Shona people fought the Portuguese and drove them out. The Zulus. You can't stop. If Africans did not show any form of resistance towards the Europeans, they would have wiped Africans out, especially Sub-Saharan Africa. They would have wiped us out. As they did here in Australia. I am here in Australia. They wiped out about 90% of Aboriginal people. By the time the Europeans arrived here, the population of Aboriginal people were about 750,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the 20th century, it was about 30,000 Aboriginal people left. Now, ask me the population of Aboriginal people in Australia, and including those that have mixed with Europeans, 350,000 people. And whereas Australia's wide population is 25 million, Australian population is 25 million, you have less than 1% of Australia's population is Aboriginal, Black Australians, including African immigrants like myself and my family and the Sudanese that came as by way of the refugee programs. So if Africa is the only place on the continent where Europeans just couldn't stay there because the Africans resisted. So if they come with that rhetoric that Africa sold its own people, that's just a lie.
I'm saying you know what it is? What it's dishonest because let us say, for example, that there was this group of Africans who, the Europeans came and they said, we've got some people for you to sell to you. Yeah, let's say it was as simple as that. Why would we define the African role in enslavement as having sold other Africans into slavery? Yeah, and not by those who fought back. Like, let's say there were some who didn't fight back and some who did. Yeah, some who sold. Let's for argument's sake, some who sold and some who fought the selling. Yeah, why would we use those who sold? Yeah, as the definition of the African role in this thing. Yeah, it's a dishonest argument. It's a fundamentalist argument. And you know what I'm saying? There's no data. There's no there's no
evidence.
Scholarship.
There's no evidence.
I'm saying exactly to justify what the argument that these people are putting forward. None whatsoever.
There's no forensic evidence for it. There's none.
And the funny thing is that the book that I recommended a while ago, the good thing about the book is that it doesn't put on any airs and graces. It's
what was
honest.
the book again? Sorry.
It's called Fighting the Slave Trade. Yeah, it's a group. It's a conglomeration of essays. Yeah, a compilation of essays, edited by a woman by the name of Sylviane A. Diouf. Right. Yeah, so various people have done studies. Most of it is based upon West Africa. There's a couple chapters that deal with other parts of the continent. But the point is that it is honest in the sense of the fact that there were things that one group of people might have did, to protect themselves from enslavement that may have had a detrimental impact upon other groups of people that were next to them, neighboring them, and that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a very complex situation, a very complex dynamic that people submerge into this statement: Africans sold Africans into slavery. And I think it's propaganda. It is a tool, of the enslaver to shirk responsibility and deflect and cause division among African people, and we just should not buy into it. Yeah, as far as the white man is concerned, hell no. Africans did not sell Africans into slavery. When we have conversations with each other, we might go into the dynamics and the specificity and the whatever else, but there is no way that I'm going to be championing a reparations case and I'm the leader of the movement and I tell the brothers and sisters who I'm the leader of in the reparations case, Africans sold you into slavery. Bunda.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I mean, your argument is nullified at that point. At that very moment, you want to say both of you are guilty. So Europeans now going to ask for reparations as well.
Exactly.
I mean,
ShakaRa.
it just becomes reciprocity at this point.
Sorry, Chief. I'm just waiting for Chief to finish his point, and then I'm gonna come to you.
Right. So at this point where you have the champion of ADOS, and I stated again, okay, this is a person, I don't know too much of Tone Talks, but I know very, very much of what's her name, Yvette Cornell, because I was actually following her channel before she started this ADOS push thing.
Yeah, same here.
But the whole thing is, if you want to be a champion of ADOS and then you're claiming that Africans sold you, you're basically trying to take off the responsibility of this slave trade, which solely is the Europeans' problem. Okay, Africans were doing their own thing. Okay, and I see what's happening because Africans ruled into Europe at the time with the Moorish Empire and the Almoravids or whatever. Okay, they're moving to Spain. They ruled Spain. They ruled basically all the way into Germany.
Yes.
Europeans were just sort of got into the Renaissance and just pushing Africans back and trace them all the way to where they were, and either whatsoever. So they had it planned. Okay, it wasn't something that they just came up with. They had it planned the very moment they kicked the Moors out of Spain. And mind you, okay, it wasn't only sub-Saharan Africans that were sold into slavery. So you have all the divisions going on, the tribalism going on amongst African people, right? It's not only West Africans, okay. The Portuguese were taking people from Mozambique all the way into the United States, all the way into the Caribbean. They were taking people from the coast. The Arabs were taking people into China, into India. So much that there's actually an African community in India called the City people. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point with these arguments. But when you have someone like Yvette Cornell, who champions ADOS, saying that she's more European than she is African, you can just, see where she's coming from. She's just hating her black side. She wants to separate and, cause people to go with them. And it's really sad that you see someone with so much African features, so heavily melanated person saying he or she is not an African. I mean, it's just madness at that point. It's just madness.
Yep.
But just one more point, going with how the Africans were moved around the entire continent of Africa. I did my DNA test, and like 60% Moroccan Berber and Algerian, a bit Egyptian as well. And that's crazy. And then I had to do the research, and I realized that the Berbers, the North Africans, were actually sold as slaves first, or were captured as slaves first into the Americas.
And as well with the Arab enslavement, a lot of Africans moved south. Into the west.
They moved down south. The present state of Ghana was the people in Ghana, the Afantis, the Eves, and all that migrated into that current position in the 11th century. And that was when the Moors were pushed down from Spain. I think 1142 or something like that. The Moors
1492.
The Moors were pushed out.
It'd be like the 1400s, late 1400s.
Yeah, right. And you can see all the empires, like the Ghana Empire, the Mali Empire. They were all destabilized by these Moors coming back down. Okay, so that's started the trouble, but you can see where that promotion started going, and it was planned. Okay, it was all planned. All right. We can see where that's the time the Bible was reaching us about to mentally enslave our people and stuff like that. So, I mean, it goes deep. So yeah, Shaka, we'll do another stream sometime and talk about this. But yeah, I'll let you.
Most definitely. Question though, are you Ashanti?
It's really ridiculous with my family, because I am not. I was born in Ghana. My family are not Ghanaian at all. My dad is American. Well, my grandfather was American. He moved into Ghana and lived in Ghana till he passed away.
You've got ADOS credentials then, bro.
Sorry?
You've got legitimate ADOS credentials then.
I do. That's why I attacked them. I don't let them fly easy with their rhetoric at all. So I wasn't ashamed to challenge them about this. And also, the reason why I promote Pan-Afrikanism is because I said to myself, I don't think I would want to go back to Ghana until the African Union rolls out the All African passport, African Union passport, because I see myself as more African, like not just a specific, like I'm not a nationalist. Okay, so after doing my DNA test, knowing my family history, my dad, my dad and my mom are immigrants in Ghana. I cannot claim to be Ghanaian. Whereas my DNA says that I'm like more like 40% Rwandan, East African, and then I've got some Cameroonian in there. I've got some Sierra Leone and Liberia, of course, because we're African Americans there, and Morocco, Algeria and Egypt. I mean, I cannot claim to be Ghanaian at this point.
I hear that.
I can't be Ashanti, but I love Ashanti. I love all.
Yes. The reason why I asked it is because I have that DNA test, but my family it has passed down the fact that we are on my father's side, or should I say through my great grandmother's lineage, are Ashanti descendants. Yeah. So in the sense that now, if I'm going to take this argument on, that I should be vexed with my Ashanti brothers and sisters who are still on the continent right now, for example. Yeah, but I them send me in a slavery. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the vibration. But I'm gonna bring in King Sosa. He's been waiting patiently. Welcome, my brother.
Peace, peace, peace. Yeah, tell the other brothers stay on too, so we can
Chief,
have the discussion. All right, cause we're kind of all over the place. Peace to you. We're kind of all over the place now. As far as Africans being involved in the slave trade, it's a sad truth, but it did happen. Okay, because you have to understand that the Europeans could never go into the interior of Africa. You know, they made their bases on the outskirts. The Africans were the middlemen. They would go into the interior of Africa, grab people, and then they would march them, sometime as far as 300 miles back to the Europeans. You got to understand that that's not, so that part of it is not even up for debate. Like it just did happen. You talking about Benin, the Dahomey, the Ashanti, even the people that fought against the slave trade. You got to understand, what do you think happened to the prisoners that they caught during the wars fighting against the slave trade? They were sold into slavery. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it was a crazy circle going on. But it started off from trade for like brass, iron, because they wanted brass and irons for pots and pans and farming, stuff like that, and weapons. You know what I'm saying? So like, but that's a whole nother deep discussion we can get into some other time. Like, but I was kind of focusing on the ADOS part, right? And Pan-Afrikanism. Okay, you have to understand that even before ADOS, there were a lot of us that were not Pan-Africans. And it didn't, you know what I'm saying? People act as if Yvette Cornell was the one that made other people not Pan-African, but that's not true. A lot of people just were not Pan-Africans before then. You know, and a lot of people just focus on Yvette, but they never talk about Tone. I think they pick Yvette because she's an easy target. She's light-skinned, you know what I'm saying? But nobody ever goes at Tone.
Yeah, bro. I can definitely say that I do. And as well, to be fair, to be completely fair, I knew about Yvette Carnell long before I knew about Tone, and I knew about Tone through Yvette Carnell. I think her audience was bigger for a significant period of time. I think for a lot of people, they really got to know who Tone was through his video, ADOS Explained by Its Creators. That was definitely the first time I can recall seeing his face. But before that, I knew him more because he was always the first caller on Yvette Carnell's show. You know what I'm saying? So I think, to be fair, I think she just had a higher profile.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, we had a lot to talk about the ADOS movement, and like I said, even though I'm not a Pan-African, Shaka, we gotta understand that don't mean I disagree with you in your fundamental thinking. You know, I'm just, you know, we're more focusing on the movement as far as reparations here. That's why we disagree. We just disagree with the tactics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because
bro.
we're talking about reparations here.
Let me say this, bro. Yeah, throughout the for example, you have the Black Power movement and the Civil Rights movement. Yeah, the fundamental differences between them. The Black Power movement would not claim that it was the Civil Rights movement, although there was crossover. Yeah, and the Civil Rights movement would not claim Black Power, although there was crossover. Yes, what they agreed upon though is that they were both looking to they were both fighting for the some level of freedom, what they saw as freedom for Black people. I am not a person who believes that one needs to define themselves as Pan-Africanist in order to have a concern for the condition of Black people. Yeah, so let's get that clear. I have no issue with somebody. There are many people that don't define themselves as Pan-Africanists. There are many people who are complete assimilationists. They want to assimilate into the system, but they have an interest in bettering their community on whatever level, and I can accept whatever level that their interest manifests itself. That's not a problem. Yeah. However, if you attack Pan-Africanism, then we're gonna have a conversation. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, if you go out of your way to attack, mischaracterize, and misinform people about this ideology, then just expect for the people that adhere to it that follow the tradition, that walk in it, that are part of organizations and movements based upon the ideology and activism of Pan-Africanism to correct you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the ADOS wouldn't have much in the way of critique from Pan-Africanists, except for in the general critique that different aspects of different movements have for each other, if it wasn't for that direct attack.
Okay, so we kind of don't we kind of have to go from where it start from. Okay, so what do you think is quite possible that maybe some Pan-Africanists had a problem with ADOS people claiming American status, saying I'm American and not saying I'm African?
Okay, yes, that would have been a fact. That would have been a fact, even if Yvette Carnell never attacked Pan-Africanism. Yeah, the issue of African identity and the issue of adopting an American identity would have been an issue for Pan-Africanists. It would not have been an issue in the way it is now, had the narrative that comes with that rejection of Africanness not manifest itself in the way that it has. Yeah. So again, differences is not the problem. Yeah. That's that. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, we have to be honest about the fact that we attack Yvette Carnell has been attacking Pan-Africanism for quite some time. It's not a new thing. Yeah. And it culminated in a video last year called Pan-Africanism is Dead, and another video called Motherland. If your ancestors, if your people saw my people, we ain't the same people, we ain't family. There was another video where she addressed some issues in relation to this same subject, in response to the Black Panther issue. Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, so it's a title something like Killmonger was right. The limitations of black or African solidarity or something like that. Yeah. So this is all last year. No Pan-Africanist really was saying anything about Yvette Carnell during this time. The first people that responded to it, yeah, and I didn't even know this until earlier this year, or maybe late last year. No, earlier this year. Yeah. When she did the Pan-Africanism is Dead, Sister African Esquire, you know what I'm saying, did a response to it. That, you know, and made a couple other people, yeah, like the real response to the anti-Pan-Africanist rhetoric coming from ADOS took place this year, because there was a string of videos that came out in I think February of this year, whereby ADOS people were just attacking Pan-Africanism in the space of about 2 weeks. Yeah, and I think I've actually got a rundown of some of the videos that were done in the space of about 2 weeks. Yeah, and at this point, nobody was saying anything. So no, for the Pan-African side, yeah, nobody. So you know what I mean. So yes, Pan-Africanists would always affirm an African identity, especially on an issue of reparations, and we would consider it a significant ground for a debate. But the tone of this debate has been set by the attack against Pan-Africanism as put forward by ADOS. That must be made clear.
Yeah, look, I get that part of it, right? But okay, Pan-Africanism should be able to stand like a little bit of critique, right? So my issue sometimes is that it's so many strands of it, right? So sometimes I see it, a person that's a Pan-Africanist and their views, I go, okay, I can rock with that. And then sometimes, like, you know, there's some Black Power Pan-Africanists who talk about, you know, we need to get guns and go to war. I'm like, no, like, we're not even military. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're gonna have Black people on a suicide mission. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it brings up a certain type of anger. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop that. And then other parts I see. So it's like, man, but everybody's saying they're Pan-Africanist. So I'm like, hold on, like, which one is Pan-Africanism? Because I either rock with it or I don't. But like the pot's being mixed up.
Yeah, bro. But I get that. What I would respectfully say to you is that some of that confusion you have to resolve yourself by study. It's like I mean, you're familiar with the conversation that we have in it, all right? About various different subjects, and it gets to the point whereby one has to take responsibility for their own learning. I am not one that's going to suggest that there is not grounds to be confused in terms of, look, I have even had issues, yeah, using the term Pan-Africanism sometimes because of the way it's being defined in the global space right about now, and I don't want to be associated with that. Yeah, I have had conversations with our brothers and sisters in terms of this subject matter and the need for us, maybe some Pan-Africanists use different terminology completely so as not to be caught up with certain things that come in the name of Pan-Africanism. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with any of those things. At the same time, the idea, for example, that getting guns and going to war is a Pan-African principle, that doesn't make any sense. For any ideology, yeah, or any ideology proposing to be defending a nation would have that as a strategy at some point, depending on the battles that it is facing. So that's
Can I chime in on this, please?
Go on.
Yeah, the argument that you know, African Americans should get guns and fight. I mean, it's just ridiculous because one, you are outnumbered, and two, this whole ADOS movement has white supremacy written all over it, because it's an idea started to create a race war in the United States. They dying for it. White Americans are wishing for a race war. They just want someone to pull the trigger. They're just waiting for it. And when you know the amount of guns these white people have, they outnumber you like 10 to 1. You know, so they're just waiting for someone to pull the trigger. And why in the hell is intellectually a black man trying to push this agenda? I just don't get it. So when it comes to critical thinking, okay, it doesn't make sense at all for the talk for reparations to end up in being anti-African and being anti-Pan-Africanism. It just further divides us as black people, okay, to unite for a common purpose. So
by the way,
ADOS not a military movement.
It's not that. They released an article. Russia, I think Russian bots or whatever. They released an article saying that the Pan-Africanism movement is gearing up to take arms against the United States government to separate. Basically, the Pan-Africanism movement is trying to form a separatist group in the United States and have a nation of their own in the United States. So they're pushing all these things out there to show you that they dying for a race war. They just want it. They just want someone to make the first move. And these guys are going to wipe you out. They just
we're not. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Praying for a race war. You know.
Yeah, but so, that's not. Yeah.
So can I say, yeah, welcome to everyone that's in the chat right now. For those who are new, this is ShakaRa Speaks channel. My name is ShakaRa. The conversation today was not intended to be about ADOS. I just haven't done a live for a few months and decided to jump on today. And in the midst of me just talking about raving, partying, and other random stuff that's been going on in the community over here in the UK, a brother asked me about ADOS, and the conversation has gotten here right now. So you know what I mean. So yeah, we could talk about anything, but it is here now. I don't have a problem with the conversation, but I'm just welcoming those who are here. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. I am also the managing director, co-managing director of a channel called Got Kush TV, independent media platform. So I would encourage you to subscribe to Got Kush TV also. And I'm going to share the link for that right about now. So feel free to do so. But welcome. We've got people here. Well, we've got 3 Africans from 3 different parts of the planet right about now. The UK, myself, brother Chief, is in Australia, and brother King Sosa is in the United States of America, Atlanta, Georgia specifically. So yeah, we got listeners from New York as well, locked on right about now, among other places, Kings and Queens. So we give thanks for that. King Sosa, you had a point to make.
Yeah, I would say like the ADOS movement is not a military movement. Like it's strategically a political movement. It's about voting. You know what I'm saying? It's really about getting what we want through the system. It's really a more of a Martin Luther King type movement. It's not a violence. We're not encouraging violence. It's about garnishing your vote, using your vote for power, asking for specific things for you specifically. You know what I mean? Like we don't want to be put into a minority pool. We want things set aside for us. You know what I mean? So it's really based just on that.
Question, King Sosa. How familiar are you with Nkobra's reparations platform?
A little bit, but not too much. You know, they've been kind of quiet. They're not, they're not really.
Well, I wouldn't say they've been. Okay, you could say they've been quiet. I think there's a lot been going on.
As far as advertising, as far as getting their getting their name out. I was just.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I think that their social media presence hasn't been strong up until recent. But my question to you is, the things that you're talking about in terms of advocating for things for Black Americans specifically, do you think that Nkobra, and I'm using them because they're the helm of the let's say the foundation guard, yeah, in terms of the reparations case in America, do you think that there's a fundamental difference between Nkobra and ADOS on that issue? Like, is Nkobra not looking for things specific to Black people?
Yeah, they are, but in a sense, they're still gonna have to basically say that it gets pushed through. They basically still gonna have to redefine what is an African American.
Why?
So I'm saying, because like if reparation is passed, they're gonna have to decide who qualifies. Let's say reparation comes through and the vote, or we get it tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And now let's say tomorrow, 10,000 people come from Jamaica, move in, 10,000 from Africa, 10,000 from different parts come, and they move in now.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So they have to decide, well, who gets reparation? Like, how long would you have to be there to receive those? You see what I'm saying? They would have to start dissecting and making it to make a stance to where they would know who the benefits go to. It can't just be because you're Black.
So can I come in? Can I come in for a minute? I've got a question for.
Let me ask another question. Why, from your perspective, is that a fundamental issue? Like, let's say, yeah, that reparations came tomorrow and everybody black, yeah, in America was a beneficiary of the reparations, yeah. So we're talking about the 3 to 5 million Black immigrants and the 38 to 42 million ADOS, quote unquote, so to speak, yeah. Let's say everybody under that banner was a recipient of reparations. What is the fundamental issue that you see there?
Because whatever the amount's going to be, it's going to be set. It's not like it's going to be unlimited. You know what I'm saying? If they say whatever amount they say, so like let's just say it takes 5 to 10 years to get passed.
Yeah.
And the population is going to steadily increase. More people going to still be coming in. So it's still going to be less. You kind of got to see the fundamental point of like to grow up in America, understand, to deal with the type of racism that we dealt with over here, to fight in the wars over here. Like my mom was a veteran, you know what I'm saying? And most of my family was veterans, you know what I mean, who actually fought in the war. So it's like it got to be certain things understood as far as the blood that they put in on this soil. Now that's not to discount what other Africans did on different soils. Like I respect that, but we're talking about specifically about the United States of America.
Yeah, but so what I'm getting from what you're saying is that you seem to be speaking specific to the issue of compensation and the fact that the more Black people in America there are, the less each will get. So if basically Black immigrants flood into the thing, there's less to divide among the various different black families. Am I correct in understanding your argument?
Yeah, in layman terms, yes, because you want to make sure that you know the children of the descendants of Black Wall Street and the descendants of the Vietnam War. You want to make sure that they get their just due. You know what I'm saying? Because they, you know what I mean? Because they went through it here. Jim
Right.
Crow, peonage, redlining. You got to make sure that you know what I mean.
So, okay. Now, what is it about Nkobra's program that leads you to, because Nkobra is a grouping that contains, in fact, from my understanding, it was founded by Pan-Africanists who were seeking not to make their ideology become the defining factor in forwarding the reparations agenda, understanding that they had to broaden the scope beyond just Pan-Africanists to put reparations on the map, because all black people are not Pan-Africanists. And I agree with you. Not black people are not Pan-Africanists, yeah? But having said that, Pan-Africanists are heavily involved. People with Pan-African outlook are heavily involved in Nkobra. So, but what is it about their platform? Is there anything that you've read from Nkobra whereby they have said they're not about giving things specifically to Black Americans? They don't deal with that distinction. They just want to deal with all black people in America should be recipients of reparations if and when it comes.
Yeah, no, because see the problem with Nkobra is not that, because see, like I said before, eventually they're gonna have to define, they're gonna have to do what ADOS has already done. Okay, but the only thing with ADOS is that ADOS just took it a step further to say we are ADOS and we are doing it based upon this. See what I'm saying? So eventually, if let's say if reparations get passed, then Nkobra will have to do the same. It's just that the ADOS has just took it a step further and did that. The difference between now ADOS and Nkobra is that, you know, Nkobra is more of a Democratic Party thing. See what I'm saying? And with ADOS is like, we don't care who's in office. We look at all of them like they're the same. We don't pick no choosing. We want whoever's gonna give us what we want. That's what we voting for. Like we're not trying to line ourselves with nobody. We're not in bed with nobody. We're gonna be independent. We only vote for things that help us specifically. We don't care if it's a Democrat or it's a Republican. Whoever gonna give us what we want, because like people got this idea that the Republicans and different Democrats are different. Like, man, it's the same evil. So what does it matter who you negotiate with? Like, they're both of them's evil. You know what I'm saying? That's how ADOS looks at it.
All right, cool. Chief? Chief, go ahead.
I'm here, family. Sorry, I wasn't a call, but I was listening.
Okay,
yeah, I've got a question for King Sosa, brother. I've got a question for you with the dispensation of the reparations. Just say that we get African Americans get their reparations. Okay, but Shaka asked the question that who gets it? I mean, slavery ended in 1865, and you know, since then we had the Jim Crows and segregations and whatnot. But when segregation was collapsed, desegregation, blacks moved into white neighborhoods, and to the point where there is no more black neighborhoods. I mean, LA is now like 9% blacks now. So people mix.
Raw. I never knew that. Isn't that low?
Yeah, it's really, really low now. There's no black community anymore. So I mean, with the incursion of the Mexicans and stuff like that, now everybody's mixed in the United States. Okay,
maybe California, but there are plenty of black communities in Atlanta. There's a lot of.
Okay, but so is it just that people in Atlanta get the reparations?
That's it in May, and I never saw a European for days.
Yeah, plenty of us. That's how it is.
Yeah, in the United States, it's different. Yeah. Okay, everyone is mixed, and we have the new problem now, the gentrification. But okay, I'll move on. Okay, so my question is, who is black and who is not when it comes to the ADOS? Because you now have Yvette Cornell who's saying that she's 60% European. How does she qualify to even speak for the black community as a black woman or as a black person when she has a white girlfriend?
I don't think she has a white girlfriend. And the numbers, I
Well, that's
think you
what
got the
I heard.
numbers backwards. I think she's
That's what I
40% European and 60% African, if I'm not
no,
mistaken.
no. Why is she saying she's not African? I ain't African. I've heard that
She's
before.
yeah, she's only referring to an African from the diaspora. But because you understand that in order to be ADOS, you have to be African descendant. You have to be that.
Yeah, so that
Like you
this
have to be
draws
a
me to my
descendant
point.
of an African.
This draws me to my point. So who is black, who is not? You can see an average blonde eye, blue eye model, and she's like 6% Senegalese. Is she an African
Yeah, see,
descendant?
that's the thing.
Of course she is. Is she Adolf? Of course she is. So does she get
Well,
reparations?
hold on.
Well, she
You're
has to.
asking if you're asking who is black and then who's African American, because those are two different things.
No, I'm asking different questions in the same context. I mean, like, who is ADOS, who is not ADOS, who is black, who is not. Okay.
Okay, well,
So I'm pointing
ADOS
out
would
this
be
point that here we have a blonde hair, blue eyed model who is 6% African American. Of course, her 6% African ancestors went through slavery. That she qualified for reparations.
no, it don't work like that. See, listen, ADOS is about
Of
lineage.
course, it works like that. That's lineage.
Listen,
It's her lineage.
I have to,
Her lineage is black. How does she qualify for that?
I'm explaining it to you.
Let him answer.
It's about lineage, right? So it starts from 1619, and the cutoff is around 1950 something. So you would have to trace an ancestor back to at least 1950 something, because before then there were no the immigrant population was so small it was pretty much obsolete. So they consider anybody there prior to 1958 that will be considered ADOS. So if she was here, she would have to trace her lineage to somebody from 1958 and beyond in order to receive reparations.
Yes, and
That's how it works.
there's a whole lot of Americans like that. I actually saw a documentary of this very white family, and their grandfather was actually a famous photographer. He took a photograph of a very famous, I think, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was a documentary that aired. Okay, the whole family looked very white, but the actual grandfather was black, and he was a famous photographer. If anyone in the chat remembers that. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. So these people can actually trace their ancestors back to the 1600s.
Okay, but listen.
King Sosa, my understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. My understanding is that as far as what Solidarity put forward and the ADOS leaders have taken his guidance on this, is that you have to be able to have one it's not parent, is it? Is it? The language is slipping me at the moment for some reason. Maybe because it's late over here.
I can't remember the specifics, but you also have to have been on the census as an African American for at least 10 years. I think there's a lot of parameters to it, but see, that's what HR 40 is for, though. That's what the HR 40 is for, to work all that out.
Right. Now, this is the thing, though, yeah. Because let me ask it, because. Well, HR 4 is an interesting document because it defines the people who the case relates to as African American. So in that sense, if you're looking for a legal term, you would use that. I don't know if ADOS are pushing for ADOS to be the official legal terminology used for Black Americans. I'm not hearing that as an official demand. I've not read
That's
anywhere.
what they want. Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want.
No, okay. So you're saying that there's an official campaign for the use of ADOS as opposed to African American.
Yeah, that's really what it's about. Yeah, to put it to where that's on the census, so you can just, because they're basically saying African American is too vague of a term.
I know that. I know that they want a specific category on the census.
Yeah, ADOS or whatever, but ADOS they're pushing for that. No, that one. It could be, Tariq Nasheed do fundamental Black Americans. I'm not a big Tariq Nasheed fan, so don't confuse me with Tariq Nasheed. But if they got the fundamental Black Americans, they're trying to get their own. You know what I mean?
All right, let me take the conversation in a slightly different place here, bro.
Right.
One of the things that is quite fundamental to the Encobra platform. Now, I'm reading from their website, which is associated with the I don't know if you're aware that they had a reparations conference a couple weekends ago. From the weekend of the 23rd. Yeah,
we watched. Yeah, it was live. We watched.
Yeah. They had a conference. There's a few days still. So I've watched most of it. I haven't watched all of it. But as a part of their platform, one of the things that they say is because you may be familiar with the different, fundamental factors, the fundamental components of reparation, one of which is cessation, yes. Basically, to stop, stop what you're doing, yeah. And then there's guarantees of non-repetition. But as far as Encobra is concerned, it says here, the first act of reparations must be the release of Black political prisoners. These men and women have been vindicated. They fought against a government that used all manners of illegality, committing crimes against their humanity, and that of their people. Like the Japanese who were imprisoned, who fought against their people's internment and were released as a part of their reparations package. Black political prisoners must be set free now. For the sake of those who are listening, it's important to know that there are Black liberation freedom fighters, Black power movement freedom fighters, Pan-Africanist freedom fighters who were imprisoned in the 70s and 80s, who are still in jail now. Yeah, Mumia Abu Jamal comes to mind, Matulu Shakur comes to mind. There are others, and some have died in jail. Some of them were released. For example, Geronimo G. Jagger had Johnny Cochran as a lawyer and was able to have been released, after spending, I forget the amount of years in prison. I just want
Matula Shakur, she's in Cuba.
No, you're speaking of Assata Shakur.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about, yeah. Right.
Brother, and he's still in prison. Yeah. But Assata Shakur would have still been in jail and if he didn't break the head out of the jail, which is there may be a lesson in that. However, I just want to know from you, bro, if you would agree with that particular point, and if you understand that the formal ADOS movement has any advocacy on that particular point.
No, the ADOS movement does not have any advocacy on that particular part of it. So that's a good idea. But let me ask you this though: if you had a choice, would that be your first agenda?
Put it this way. I can understand why Encobra puts that as first. I think it's fundamental that put it this way. If you are, I'm inclined to say yes or no. I have to think about this a bit more, but I'm inclined to say yes. As a first act, the people who are in prison as a result of fighting for their liberation, fighting for their rights, that's the first thing that should be done. These people should be let out of prison because they're not criminals. Yeah. The members of the Black Panther Party who were in prison on trumped up charges, the Black Liberation Army, the Republic of New Africa, these people were fighting injustice and were imprisoned unjustly, whilst the government of the United States of America facilitated criminal activity to destroy their movements. I'd agree. Now one could debate about whether it should be the first thing or not. That the idea that they should be released, to me, shouldn't be in question.
I don't question the idea. It's just about food, clothing, shelter.
Yeah, but bro,
first and foremost, food, clothing, and shelter.
But would you understand that the logistics associated with food, clothing, and shelter are quite different to let the people out of the jail? Like that shouldn't require too much logistics. You know what I'm saying?
First would be food, clothing, and shelter. Though. I mean, if I had, like I said, I don't disagree with the concept, but see, that's another fight all to itself. Now you're talking about laws, who they kill, and that's going to tie up food, clothing, and shelter. You know what I'm saying? Like all that can be worked in. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I'm not against it.
But bro, if prison, so on the ADOS agenda, yeah, isn't prison reform a part of the ADOS agenda?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And so if prison reform can be worked in, it appears to me that this subject matter can be worked in as well. I'm just saying, bro. Like,
Yeah, but you talk about releasing political prisoners, like, man, and in America, like, boy, that's a fight. That's a fight. Like, they're still trying to get us asylum support.
I agree, bro. But reparations is the fight.
Yeah, but I'm saying they just try to get us out of, like, recently. I'm talking about like this month.
Bro,
like
they're still trying to get us every day. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying that I think because this subject has been raised, and I think it's a fundamental one. I think the people that, because listen, ADOS, the ADOS movement, and when I say the ADOS, I'm talking about the specific advocacy movement. Yeah, right. Is looking for justice for a wrong that was done. Yeah, and not just the wrong of enslavement, but the wrong of the subsequent injustices in terms of Jim Crow, yeah, in terms of redlining, in terms of the destruction of black communities, whether it's Black Wall Street or whether it's crack cocaine in the 80s, yeah. And so when you talk about prison reform, so for example, look, mass incarceration has wreaked havoc, yeah. I'm reading from ADOS 101 website now, yeah, on black families. By some accounts, there are literally more black males in prison than all women are incarcerated on the planet. To give context, there are 20 million black males and they are largely descended from slavery. While there are 4 billion women globally, both groups producing the same number of incarcerated. The reinvention of slavery through the use of the 13th Amendment is chronicled by Douglas Blackmun in his PBS documentary, Slavery by Another Name. It is our position that this must be corrected. We demand an immediate assessment of the numbers of the ADOS prison population. And by the way, there's a significant amount of black immigrants in that prison population, yeah? I don't know the numbers, but you know what I'm saying? Like, especially from the Caribbean, places like Jamaica and that, enough of us are in prison out here. In them jails, yeah. In
America, though, they'll get deported back to the land.
No, there is that too, but there is imprisonment of immigrants, because remember, not all immigrants are illegal. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I do hear you though. The deportation is also a factor. Yeah, but my point is that now when we deal with this issue, because you could correct me if I'm wrong, but mass incarceration is a post 60s issue.
Yeah. I wouldn't fight you on it. I wouldn't fight you on it, ShakaRa. Like, I wouldn't fight you on it.
No. I know you're not fighting me. I'm just foregrounding it here, because what I'm saying is that the mass incarceration begins in many respects. Yeah, was the government's response to the Black Power movement. It's one of the ways in which it squashed the Black Power movement. So
it was a response to the end of slavery.
What do you mean?
Had to get more. When slavery ended, they needed peonage. It's called like peonage. It was a way to under that amendment. That's the only way you could enslave people. See, in prison, they have no rights.
Yes,
then they can be enslaved. So
yes.
That's what they started trumping up laws. They got the sundown laws. Be caught outside after 6, and that's when it kicked off. You know what I mean?
Yes, but that's to do with the 13th Amendment. But my understanding is that the issue of mass incarceration. I mean, black people in America have always been incarcerated disproportionate to the population. Let's get that straight. Yeah, but as I understand it, the issue of mass incarceration comes with the war on drugs. Which is a Reagan Bush issue. Yeah, but I'm saying that all of that is all of this is a response to the Black Power era. So the actual the influx of drugs into the black community is a response to the Black Power era, and then the government's backlash to the influx of drugs into the black community comes post the Black Power era. So I'm just putting mass incarceration in the context of political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? Because these prisoners are mass incarceration is a result of the government trying to squash the Black Power movement in America. You know what I'm saying? So, and these brothers and sisters were the people that were at the helm of that movement. So it just seems to me that it is a, you know, like you used about specific claims, that there's a specific issue within the claim. To me, this is just a specific issue within the claim that would require, you know what I'm saying, you know, addressing.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't fight it as poor being first. It's just that, you know, there's a lot of people in poverty, and you know, they need what they can get like ASAP. You know what I'm saying? So if it could be done, and there could be done, like if that was like, okay, to show a sign of allegiance that you at least going to honor reparation, release the political prisoners. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'd be like, bet, as a sign of, you know what I mean, as a sign of a peace, do that. I'm cool. That's great. Do that.
All right,
I'm with that all the way.
All right, I'm gonna wrap up soon, yeah. But where I want to take the conversation now, yeah, is this issue of nationhood, because the major difference, as I see it, with ADOS as far as reparations is concerned, and other more Pan-Africanist or revolutionary ideals in terms of reparations, is this issue of nationhood. Whereas the Pan-Africanist sees the blacks in America as effectively a nation within a nation, though disorganized in that sense, ADOS is pushing forward the idea of the absorption of black people in America into the American society. Yeah.
Yep.
To me, that is the fundamental difference. Yeah. Whereas, you know, the Pan-Africanist or revolutionary Pan-Africanist ideal is to say, listen, we don't want reparations from America so that we can become Americans. Yeah, we want to be restored and have control over our own destiny, yes, and our own lives, with the power to define our own destiny according to our own culture. ADOS says we are Americans, our culture is American, and therefore the flag is ours, the national anthem is ours, and so on and so forth. This is a fun.
No, not that. But I get what you're saying.
Bro, you can't take the flag about the national anthem, bro.
Listen. And that's true. I'm not going to argue with you on that. That's true.
If it's
that's true, but listen. Yeah, but listen. But you know, like it's just like in Atlanta. You know, we still, but you still have to live within a system, right? Because we got some Pan-Africans like, you know, look, just give us Florida or Mississippi, then we can start our own nation. I'm like, man, look, America's not finna give you 2 states where you can just get your own military. Like, they're not gonna allow you. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have the power, so we kind of gotta work from a position of not having the leverage and take. You know what I'm saying? And be reasonable about what we ask for.
Bro. Let me answer this, because all right, let's say 2 states here. Would you say that whatever the government, let's say ADOS is successful in its specific push, would you say that whatever the government is going to give would be the equivalent or more of 2 states?
Would it be? I don't know. I hope, but it will not. But you talk about land.
My point is that
it's gonna be mostly you know, it's talking about it's gonna be like programs, loans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be like 2 states worth of. You know what I mean? Now it could be, but I don't even know what 2 states is worth, so I couldn't really answer that. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is, what it sounds like you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the government will give reparations as long as that reparations can sustain American society. That the people that are recipients of these reparations are going to invest their energy into the maintenance and development of America as a nation.
You know, I mean, you already know that's gonna have to be that. It'll just be within our own communities. Just like when you come to Atlanta, you know, we got so many black subdivisions. You know, we can take that money and just further develop our own area. We don't have to, you know what I'm saying? And we don't have to, like I said, like you said, like when I don't want to see white people, I don't see them. I stay in my area. My areas, you know, my areas are nice. I don't have to go over there. But, you know what I mean? When I'm ready to mix and mingle, I go downtown. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, you know what I mean?
All right, and to me, this is a issue. And coming back to what Chief was saying before, as far as I am concerned, yeah, and I know my brother King Sosa is gonna disagree with what I'm about to say, but that's what it is. the need to disassociate from Africa, yeah, is driven by this particular point, yeah, in the sense of the fact that the Pan-Africanist, yeah, sees himself as a part of a nation in the making, yeah, sees himself as a part of the destruction of European power as it relates to African people, yeah. ADOS, as defined by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, don't see themselves in that light. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? And so this idea of African nationhood doesn't compute to them. They're not in it. In fact, they reject it. Yeah, and they bring in all kind of argument about Africa is not a country. Yeah, as though Pan-Africanists promote the idea that Africa is a country. Yeah, which is what I'm saying, which is not that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, yeah, the United States of America was not a country. Yeah, at one point. Yeah, before 1776, there was nothing like the United States of America. Yeah, and this is the fundamental issue. So to me, the fundamental issue is that if we look at things like Amos Wilson, and he talks about how oppression perverts the culture of a people, and the people begin to now define themselves according to and their own culture, according to and in adaptation to the culture of the oppressor. Yeah, right. And so the revolutionary approach to reparations is we want repair, yeah, so that we can rebuild the nations that were destroyed as a part of the enslavement process. ADOS says we want repair so that we can become full American citizens. Yeah, these are fundamental differences in ideology and perspective. And from my perspective, the idea that one gets reparations to become this idea that ADOS is a new civil rights movement. There's a very big difference between reparations and civil rights. They're not the same thing. Yeah. So to me, the idea that one gets reparations in order to become a fuller citizen of America is a contradiction, in the sense that American citizenship would not represent reparation.
No, but in retrospect, though, when the whole push was for civil rights was to have all the rights as an American.
That's what I'm saying. So that's a justifiable civil rights agenda. I don't know if it factors in as a justifiable reparations agenda. Enslavement was not a process of us losing American citizenship. So restoring American citizenship, it wouldn't make sense as a reparations agenda. Now, if you want civil rights as a citizen of America, that makes sense. Yeah, that's fully making sense. But reparations, as Omowale Malcolm X would define it now, takes it on the level of human rights, but it's a human rights issue. That's what I'm saying. So citizenship and citizenry, yeah, is depending on your perspective, is a minor issue in that context. If we're talking about human rights, yeah, one does not have to be a citizen of a country for one's human rights to be respected. If we understand what human rights are, right? That's what I'm saying. Right. So that is the fundamental issue as far as I see it. And so we want to make it clear that when we're talking about these things and we are discussing Pan-African perspectives on the whole situation, none of it, you haven't heard me say once, yeah, that Africans in America don't deserve reparations and should not fight for reparations or anything like that. And that reparations as given out by them or as secured or affected by the American government or by blacks in America and demanding from the American government should not be, yeah, the domain of black people who went through that process in America. I do believe, however, this argument about migrations to America via the post the 1960s and it being minuscule prior to is an argument that needs revision. Yeah, I'm not denying that there was an increase post the 1960s, but I think the numbers are being under considered prior to, and what that means, yeah,
It's
But
just a
I also,
proposal, though. It's just a proposal. You know what I mean? It's like, you know.
that's fine. But fundamentally, however, bro, yeah, but if we're talking about the numbers increasing in the 70s up until now in the 80s, yes, we also have to factor, this is what ADOS does not do. There is no semblance of an international analysis. So me as an African from Jamaica can say that before the 1970s, black people from Jamaica were migrating primarily to this country, Britain. This is why I'm here. Yeah, the reason why America became the country of migration for black people from Jamaica and other parts of the English-speaking Caribbean had to do directly with America's meddling in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, and the destruction of the Jamaican economy by the American-run IMF, the American-run World Bank, and the American-dominated UN and World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, and them kind of things there. And so if we're going to characterize, because I watched a video today of Antonio Moore talking about how blacks in the Caribbean never experienced chattel slavery. But if we're going to characterize the African Caribbean so-called experience, yeah, then you have to have, as Black Americans who are owning your government and owning your nation, an analysis of how the American government, yeah, has negatively affected, yeah, African nations, black nations around the world, which results in, yeah, the migration of those black people to America, as opposed to characterizing those black people in America negatively for migrating there.
Yeah. You know what though, Shaka? I think the problem is too, you know, like your idea of Pan-Africanism. Like, trust me, I love it. Like, it's beautiful to hear, right?
Thank you, bro.
But in America, man, I'm telling you, like, the Pan-Africanist movement is nothing like it was, bro. Like, it's not jointed together. You know what I'm saying? Like, in Cobra, you make it sit in Pan-African, but you know, they won't be aligning themselves. They won't align themselves with no Black Power movement because it goes against their democratic agenda. See what I'm saying? So they'll alienate a Farrakhan because it's not political. Something that doesn't look right on the political stage.
Bro,
See what I'm saying? They will not be. They will not be.
Can I chime in for a moment?
Go. Sorry, before you come in, Chief, Farrakhan was the keynote speaker at the NCOBRA conference, the last NCOBRA conference in Chief. But go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, speaking of Farrakhan, did you know that Farrakhan is not a Pan-African?
Yeah, he's not.
For nearly 80 years, the Nation of Islam have been in. They've never advocated African Americans connecting with Africa. They have never. They wanted their own nation state in the United States, but you know that that's not going to happen. So the end game, okay, Dynast, I don't know if you know of search for Uhuru, Dynast Emir. He's a heavy Pan-African, and you know he was also on board with this ADOS thingy, but he has realized that it's full of baloney. You know, it's not going to lead us anywhere. Okay, the future of Black people is Pan-Africanism. Okay, the end goal of end game of ADOS is to amalgamate with the United States, you know, population, and there goes your blackness. Okay, but the end goal of Pan-Africanism. Sorry.
See, you got to see. Like, I'm here, bro. Like Black people, we don't really like, even though we might move in Black neighborhoods, Black people still, for the most part, just marry Black people. Like, I ain't gonna change.
What's the future? Have you seen the projections of what the demographics of United States is going to look like
2053? That ain't gonna happen, bro. That ain't gonna happen.
Are you kidding me? Let's start with this. Okay, how many?
It's not gonna happen, bro. It's not gonna happen. I've seen it.
Oh, what about gentrification? Is that a problem? White people moving into Black neighborhoods?
That's something that Reparations will rectify, because that would give us the money to rebuild our own communities. You know what I'm saying? So
do you think the United States government is going to? I've heard the figure $17 trillion, and each African American on the census, someone who claims to be African American. I get your point. Not some blonde hair, blue eye person with 6% African ancestry claiming to be ADOS. But I'm saying, okay, Black people, okay, people that look like you and me, right, getting reparations, do you think that the United States government is going to pay everybody $500,000? Okay,
Nah,
instantaneously,
that's not
right
realistic.
now.
That's not realistic.
But if anything, right. So we're talking about realistically, right? It's going to trickle down. If anything, you're going to get maybe checks like maybe $150 a week or something, or just get maybe tax offsets and
Doesn't have
stuff
to be
like that,
cash.
right?
You got
But
to read the Black
because
Agenda. You know, it's talking about like rebuilding the HBCUs, historically black colleges, X amount of
yes,
money set aside for small business loans. You know,
yes,
it's pretty. You know,
yes,
it's a lot. It's a lot to it.
yes. But when we're looking at the future of the demographic future of the United States, okay, so 100 years from now, there will be no black person in the United States. Do you agree?
I disagree completely with that
How do you disagree?
because we got all
When
black
we already
neighborhoods.
have,
Like I got neighbors like
well,
in
yes,
Atlanta, our neighbors
I
are all black.
brought
They
the,
like, and it's
I brought the
developed. Like
argument. I brought the argument of gentrification. The black wealth in the United States will be zero by 2050. You will have no neighborhoods.
and that's why that's see, and that's the
How,
argument for
how, how is
reparations to combat that.
reparation going to solidify a black community when people can just choose to buy properties wherever they want, move their families wherever they want? Your reparations is not going to create a barrier or build a wall to separate you from white America. And
Yeah, but it's still
we
be
already heard from
it's
Mitch
still,
McConnell. What's his name? Mitch McConnell. What is that
yeah,
his
but see,
name?
look, but listen, this would see now this where the Pan Africans coming in, because it's not like just ADOS people gonna get money. Pan Africans will get money too. So what
So
y'all gonna do?
the end
What y'all
game,
gonna do?
the end game, right? The end game. I'm not against reparations. Okay, I want white people, or to pay us what we due, like all over the world, even including Australia. Okay, I want Aboriginal Australians to take over. But the end game of ADOS is to mix, basically, white America should accept black America and everyone be on equal terms. So basically, it eliminates being black in the United States. But
Jeez.
when you this is facts.
I think he's correct, on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
This is facts.
No.
This is
Full
facts.
citizenship.
This is facts. But hang on. The end game of Pan-Africanism is we need to properly define Pan-Africanism, the global unification of everyone of African descent. Okay, making a home base of operation on the mother continent.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to have a continent of our own, and for the main purpose is African supremacy.
Is that
Okay,
realistic?
that's realistic for
What
Africans
continent?
to
What
compete.
continent? What continent? Africa.
Of course, it's Africa. That's the
So let me
motherland.
ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Wait. Let me land my point. Okay, you see the tangibles. Okay, even just a few days back. Okay, the West African community, ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, have agreed on a single currency. Okay, and now by 2020 they want to implement that in 2020, and we have the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Okay, which includes all African countries, even includes the Caribbeans. That's why you see the Ghanaian president going through the Caribbeans in the past month. Okay, making sure they're making a bond. This is what Pan-Africanism. This is tangible. So when we all
Yeah.
unite, recognize ourselves with the base of operation on the mother continent, we rule it. Okay, this is ours. So the whole thing is we need to take pride as being Africans. Okay, than trying to be anything else other than African, because nobody can beat us at that game. Nobody can be more African than you are.
Good question. Yeah.
Unless you allow it.
Brothers, I wanna
You allow it.
yeah, cause it's
So
2:30.
the end is the end game.
Oh, yeah, another. You have to get another
The end
country.
game.
Now, what it is, it's not that I've got some work to do before I go to sleep, and I've got a woman who's come in the house a while ago and barely seen me. So I got to give her a hug, you know what I mean, and a squeeze and something there, you know what I mean. So yeah, but the conversation continues, yeah, brothers and sisters in the chat. And you know what, bro, King Sosa, another day we'll go into what happened in Ghana. And this supposed
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. We're gonna do a show on it. We're gonna do a show on it and lay everything out too.
So when Ghana?
So, no, because there was a ceremony of reconciliation in Ghana, so in the 90s,
All right.
in relation to, you know, certain things. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up the thing. I do want to say though, that brothers and sisters were mentioning our conversation the other day, King Sosa with brother Wajal, and so based upon the responses that I was in the chat, I'm probably gonna invite Wajal on. He was supposed to invite me on, it hasn't happened, but I'll probably invite him on just to continue some of that conversation. Yeah, so hopefully you can join us for that as well.
Yeah, I wanted to point out the white family that realized their grandfather, which they lost contact with, right, was actually black. He's a famous photographer. His name is DK or KD Gunaway. He's a very famous photographer, and there's actually a documentary.
There's actually a Twitter post from Solidarity that said that if Rachel Dolezal could prove that she had the ADOS ancestor, she could get reparations. So yeah. That's a little humorous note to end the conversation.
Yeah, that's still HR 40. But hey, man, thanks Shakra for having me on. Peace, Chief.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's still our love, even though we disagree. You know what I mean? We can always build and talk about it, you know.
Always. Big up to the whole chat. Big up to everything is everything. We got Spoiled Black from New York. I'm sorry, I didn't get to read much of your comments. I got caught up in the conversation and checking some stuff in the background. But I hope you had some good interactions with each other. Big up Chief from Melbourne. Who else is in there from different places? Mostly all the London people. I don't know where Eric Crazy is from. Big up to brother Delani, you know what I'm saying, reparations activist from the UK. I don't know how you pronounce it. KW Don 7. You know what I'm saying? Big up. Okay, you never joined the conversation. Why go on, O'Shea? I think we're making all these things here. But yes, family. So yeah, we're gonna log off now. Peace, blessings. I remember to subscribe to
peace, family.
Peace. Peace up. All right.